Take two. Sorry about that, folks. So I was still tagged as streaming Anthem with Johnny, and that is definitely not what I'm doing right now. And I won't even bother with the whole preface and all of that, but I do apologize for being later than my normal start. I had a bit of a thing about why I do that, but it's really not worth going into. A little bit of housekeeping off the top, which I do want to have written down, or at least recorded somewhere. This Wednesday, which is sort of my normal next live broadcast day, is a Dirty Rectangles day. So did it not update? Okay, well, I'm tagged up for myself as saying that I'm streaming Stellaris, so if Twitch wants to be a jerk about it, that's their deal. Alright. Yeah, it still says I'm streaming Anthem. Well, it'll sort itself out eventually. But I wish it would sort itself out now. Okay, we are not... okay, sorry. One more reset, and then I'm going to... Wait, but when I hit the edit button... I don't get this at all. Okay, there we go. Now it says the right thing. I'm sure that will be a delightful little thing to work through on my archives. Okay. Dirty Rectangles is on Wednesday, which means there will be no Cultist Simulator stream. I am noticing through the video stats on YouTube, because I started with Under Stranger Stars and YouTube did not populate a Cultist Simulator thumbnail, the last Cultist Simulator stream has like no views for it. Now, chances are, if you are hearing this, you are somebody who likes to watch my other videos, which means you're probably not the person who needs to hear this. But if you are wondering where last week's Cultist Simulator video is, it is the one that has Under Stranger Stars in it, and it will... I'm trying to think of some ways to better tag that up for people, because that will obviously seem like 2 weeks without Cultist Simulator. But yes, if you happen to stumble over this while you're looking for Cultist Simulator content, do check out that Under Stranger Stars video. Fast forward an hour if you don't want to see that really interesting game, which has currently got a Kickstarter going on. And there will definitely be more of the story of Mary Doggerel and Lady Trifon. I will be back Friday. It is very unlikely I will play Anthem. I quite like Anthem. I completely understand the people who don't, but I don't play a lot of new games, and it really does scratch an itch for me. And I, more importantly, have paid upfront for a year of EA Premiere, and so it is a very low-cost experience for me. Tomorrow there will be another Elder Scrolls episode. These have gotten a little bit shorter over time, so it's another 2.5 hour one, and it's partly because I have been recording them a little bit later at night, and also just the game sort of lends itself to those types of events. So like I'm trying to stop doing episodes where I like end in the middle of a dungeon. So it just so happens that 2.5 hours is a nice round number for that. And I am thinking a little bit more about vodcasts. So unlikely I'll do more Cultist Simulator vodcasts until I stop the live ones. But I am going to try and do some more Surviving Mars and Crusader Kings. But if there's something that you'd like to see as a vodcast, do mention Cultist Simulator if you want. But just keep in mind that Cultist Simulator is guaranteed a day, as is Stellaris, so I try to give things that don't get as much recognition as I think they should, and Crusader Kings in particular is one that I feel is underserved at the moment. So, and I think that's everything. So if you were looking for my lovely live presence on Wednesday, I am sorry to disappoint you, but, you know, maybe I'll record something special I may not have time. I don't know, we'll work it out. But we are up for Stellaris, so what are we up to right now? No. As fun as it would be to kick these guys around a bit, I have no benefit for that. So I need to... There's a few things that I want to be working on right now. I want to get my existing world sort of under control. I want to make sure that my population's going to be taken care of for the next little while. If I can, I would like to start converting some of these other planets to Gaia worlds, or, well, sorry, I can't make them Gaia worlds yet, but if I could maybe turn them into something that my species is a little bit more, you know, a little bit friendlier towards, let's say. Holy smokes, that's enormous. Why is that so big? Alright, thank you very much, Mad King Brutos. You always have the best streaming times for you. You just got home from the gym because you are not happy being 5'10" and 100 plus kilograms. Perfect way to wind down. So, first of all, thank you very much for 9 months. I am not crazy about calling them Twitch babies. I always like it, thinking of it as 3/4, but that's because I'm boring. But more importantly, a much better milestone. I am 100% behind you on the gym. I am not very good at getting regular exercise. I walk everywhere. I take the stairs at work, which is like 18 floors. I don't avoid physical activity, but I'm very bad at being disciplined enough to actually go and like go for a run or something like that. And particularly, I know if you're at a state, so I have a lot of respect for people who are trying to basically change their shape, and this could mean either gaining muscle or, you know, just looking good naked, to put it in American Beauty terms. And that can also mean sort of taking something down, because it seems to me that maintaining what you have already is actually it's a very easy thing to do. It is something that is probably like nobody will really fault you for that, and it's way too easy to like skip a day or something like that. So I'm always really impressed when people say, it's like, this is something about myself that I want to change, and I'm going to do it now. Because to me, like, I find reading, like, one of the ways that I change myself and try and become a little bit better is I read books, and I expose myself to new ideas, and I'm reasonably proud of that. But I find that somewhat easy to do. And I think there's something about physical work that is really hard, and again, I got nothing but respect for it. So awesome work there, Mad King Brutos. I wish you nothing but the best with pushing that forward. That would kick your ass. You're type 1 diabetic, so being heavy is not good for you at all, even though your blood sugars are great. Well, I'm glad it's not all bad news. But again, I didn't mean to turn this into, you know, an extended monologue on it. But I got a couple of people I know who are in a similar boat, and it requires a certain degree of willpower that I'm not entirely sure I have. I am ashamed to admit it, but it is sadly true. So I wish you the absolute best on that journey. All right, I'm going to set about managing my affairs. So I think what I'm going to do is, this is going to build outposts, and this one's going to build the upgrades. I do have a little bit of a shortage of minerals, and more importantly, I have a shortage of consumer goods. So I'm actually going to have to come up with some serious answers in terms of how I'm going to address both of these shortages. Yeah, well, I used to have like records in my... Wait a minute, is everything on my monitor just so much larger now? Am I just going crazy about the size of the alerts? No, that has to be bigger than what it was. Yeah, I'll figure it out later. And it was, I don't know, I can't even really explain why it was the way that it was. But the worst part is getting to a car that has been out in 36-degree weather for almost, yeah. I've never had like a new car. Most of the time my air conditioning has just been rolling down a window, so I absolutely feel you on that, Brutos. So I think the way I'm going to handle this right now, I want to be focusing on, I basically want to be focusing on areas that I want to be focusing on maintaining my. I want to focus on maintaining my sort of my empire, particularly my planets, so that they can hit the next population milestone. So, for instance, I have 102 free jobs on my capital, and I've currently got 89 pops. So even though I'm assembling drones and bringing in new pops, the fact of the matter is I have a massive surplus in terms of work. There's a lot of slack in the economy. Another good example would be the 53 jobs compared to the 51 pops on Yamal Prime. Now here, I ideally want to be focusing on I want to be focusing on research. But there are a couple of jobs that I can get people to do. In fact, it'd be great. I do have an assembly yard. So here I'm going to I'd like to build a pair of mining districts, but unfortunately I don't have a lot of mines. And so the reasoning behind here is that I'm going to need 2 more jobs to unlock the next building slot. So this will maintain me for the next population growth. And it'll be similar ideas for the rest of these. For instance, this one's okay because they'll get to 20. The colony actually needs 2 more jobs, so I want to keep an eye on that one. Python is already at 60, so I'm happy with the jobs there. Similar story on Okram. If I can double up some minerals. This is actually a great planet to do some additional mineral production because it's already one that's generating a lot of consumer goods. Similar story here, although in this case on Halvam I can actually build another open building slot. As it is, I don't have the resources to be able to build most of the interesting things, so I'll leave that aside. And then the Vale, similar story. I'm going to need to come up with 2 more jobs. So the priority right now on the capital world, there's quite a bit of slack in the economy. So we'll wait until the labor market tightens up a little bit. And I'll worry about some of these other planets, particularly ones that are getting close to milestones, and actually ideally ones with sort of high growth rates. So for instance, we've got a 1.8 on migration, and we can compare that to what's another good example. Let's take so Akram. In this case, I actually need to start worrying a bit about population, but they actually have negative growth due to migration. So there's a little bit of a balancing act going on there. But at the moment, one of my more medium-term goals is to get my minerals back up, as well as my consumer goods. And the minerals I'm actually a little less worried about. If we take a look here, I'm already doing an automatic trade. And I've been trying to sort of knock myself down a bit in terms of the monthly trade goods. Ideally, I'd like to be sort of self-sufficient as far as consumer goods. But where disaster is lying is I do need minerals to build infrastructure, and you'll notice that I'm actually I'm beginning to get constrained with my existing resources. But more importantly than that, I need minerals in order to be able to build consumer goods. So I'm going to, because I've just been transforming so many minerals into alloys and consumer goods, I'm getting hit twice by this deficit, both my ability to build infrastructure as well as my ability to convert those raw materials into something a little bit more valuable, namely sort of toys for my people to play with. So that's going to be something that I'm focusing on for the next little while in the game. By the way, I'm fidgeting a lot because I bought myself a little present. I got a wonderful map. It's basically the size of a person. It's a world map. It's National Geographic. So it's there's a Soviet projection I really like, but it's a hard one to find. So this one is the next best thing. It's a wonderful sort of brownish looking world map. I actually spent a bunch of time in the map store picking out the perfect one, and then I saw they had an even bigger size of it, so I knew I had to have it. But the problem with trying to mount something like that, it is literally just a poster. Like there's no like frame or anything that I got for it. So because it's it's wrapped up as a tube and it's it's all curling and all of that, and I got some little sort of a sticky putty to put it on the wall with. It's really hard to put up on the wall just because it's me-sized and I'm a tall guy, and it's trying to manage the whole thing while it's folding in on itself is no good. So I've got it. I've just got it laid out on the ground behind me, but that doesn't give me a lot of space for my chair, and I'm terrified that if I kick away from the desk, I'm going to wind up rolling my wheels over it and inevitably it'll rip, because that's just my kind of luck. Anyways, you didn't need to know all of that. You probably want to see some gameplay 15 minutes in. So we are probably ready to go. One other thing I want to do is get my exploration ship to eventually check this place out. Actually, I can probably add that to the queue right now. I'm a bit lucky in that I managed to lock this off from my allies. It would have been nice to maybe seize some of this area for myself, but I'm not going to cry too much about it. I mean, none of these are ridiculously good planets. But yeah, this is something on my frontiers I've been meaning to get for a while. All right. It is really interesting to sort of see how the game breaks down a lot of these. They're very insistent. It's really interesting to see how the game sort of breaks down a lot of these supply chains. So I'm putting a lot of effort into generating kind of the consumer goods. Well, why am I generating the consumer goods? So that I can generate more research, and I'm generating more research so that I can deal with my overexpansion. So one of the things that sort of happened with my expansion was I didn't prioritize the acquisition of minerals enough. And you'll actually notice in general, I've sort of been neglecting more of my base resources, particularly food. Familiar shrine. Most of the asteroid has been laser chiseled with great precision into the likeness of a small shareholder temple or a large shrine. A shrine to the Untold, the great destroyer deity of old shareholder faiths. The temple has been tumbling through the quiet of space for far longer than we have been capable of spaceflight, which is disturbing at best, terrifying at worst. Naturally, Science Officer Erica Bloom urges us to search for more stellar objects that match the characteristics of the space temple, and has uploaded a list of likely candidates in nearby systems to the situation log. Perhaps it would be best if we did not, or then a-looking we will go.
Situation log revised.
Sounds like a great marketing opportunity. So. Oh, these are actually... So the one thing I'm a little nervous about would be the possibility of some enemies coming up, but in fact, particularly in this area. Some delicious systems to gobble up here. The only catch is that I really can't afford the expansion. Deep within a crevice of the giant asteroid AKU 912, we have found something astonishing. There is mining gear attached to the rock, digging itself into the vast depths of the asteroid. It stands abandoned, with no sign of who placed it there. If we can stop the machine, we might be able to learn something about the technology used to build it, but we must hurry before random debris crushes it. Now I'm tempted to scrap it for materials, and this is just because I don't actually think I have enough. I don't have any construction ships in the area, so we will take advantage of. We'll take advantage of it in order to boost our workforce. Was it Gaul?
A system has been surveyed.
It was Oop. Incoming transmission from the Chief Executive Officer Jon Den Ulto. Please note that may contain traces of Vengarian waste stickers only indicate that the product is produced in facilities that also handle Vengralan waste, not that the product itself is Vengralan waste. Show us your wares. We offer you a Triumph brand atmospheric deodorizer. Do your agri-world smell like fertilizer? Is your ecumenopolis more like a yuck, ew, no please? Does your colony stink? We have the solution. Our patented blend of microbes and aerosol agents will clear the air of any habitable troposphere. Just sit back, relax, deploy the stratodrones, and enjoy a breath of fresh air. All this for the low, low price of 1,200 alloys. A one-time delivery to a single colony only. Anti-odor effects are guaranteed to last 80 years and no longer. Increases immigration pull by 30%, and pop growth from immigration by 10% for the duration. Triumph Atmospheric Deodorizer brand name. You think that's air you're breathing now? Slogan copyright 2200. Vengralen Tirum. All rights reserved. So this is a fairly hefty amount of alloys, but I don't actually have that much use for alloys otherwise. The big question is, what colony do I want to make relatively more attractive? So we'll see if how many have negatives. So Akram, Akram, Gaul, and Yamal. Okay, so that'll probably change as soon as it's terraformed. So we will say deal. And there's no string. And we will drop that here. And finally, I'll build my additional mining district. Actually, I'll build the second right away.
Future market survey complete. Upscaling complete.
Okay, new question.
Research actualized.
Do I have? Oh, so good news here in Bugra. Well, almost good news. So I hate to do this because there are other things I can do like PR firm or private research enterprises, but this is one of the things that's helping me get free consumer goods. So we will build the virtual entertainment studios as soon as we have 500 minerals. And we've got food processing facilities. Improved food processing techniques will lead to better preservation methods and less spoilage. I don't think... Yes, that did not give me a percent-based bonus, so I am going to still have to deal with my crops. Of course, we've got gene crops waiting for us if we're so inclined. I can get regenerative hull tissue for a pretty low price. I feel terrible that I'm doing this, but I am actually going for regenerative hull tissue. And railgun, the latest in electromagnetic accelerators. Railguns use twin parallel rails to fire projectiles at incredible speeds. So For engineering research, I can go for star fortresses, but I probably want to focus a little bit more on some easy wins. And in this case, mineral cutting beams with a 10% bonus to mining station output is probably what the doctor ordered right now. Lumpy space! Lovely to see you, Lumpy. How are you doing tonight? I don't know if Johnny is still streaming, but I appreciate you hanging out here. And if you did stop hosting Johnny to host me, you are a great man. For those of you who don't know him, Lumpy Space is a dear friend of the cast's and is a broadcaster in his own right. Has been doing some Mortal Kombat, has been growing his channel, has actually been growing his channel at a faster rate than I was able to when I was his side. And you've gotten to hear me sort of sing his praises a few times now, but it's definitely worth it. Initial analysis of the asteroid's composition points towards potentially interesting finds. Doesn't mean that I'm going to get tired of mentioning them, though. You've gotten a chance to sort of see them in chat. You've gotten a chance to interact. Obviously, there is only so much. There's only so much I can really do to sell a stream. But I'm always fond of saying that people who are pleasant to have inside of chat, people who interact inside of the channel, give you a bit of an idea of the person behind it. And I mean, it's safe to say, like, obviously for my channel in particular, I don't think most of you are here for good gameplay. I mean, like for the Stellaris or the, Crusader King stuff, I know there's a few of you who felt that you can tackle these games as a result. That always feels very good, by the way. But obviously it's usually the personalities or it's the tone that drives things. And I think that's very true, for Lumpy's channel, although Lumpy is definitely very familiar with the Mortal Kombat series. And I think both his enthusiasm for the, their enthusiasm for the Mortal Kombat series, as well as just kind of, I don't know, their enjoyment as well as their familiarity with it really comes across in terms of the game. It's not one that I've really been able to get into with any real ability, and I don't know if that's just a controller thing or if it's just I'm too bad at fighting games. I really liked the Street Fighter game that I played once upon a time, but Lumpy is definitely somebody who I like to give an enthusiastic shout out to, especially just because I don't know, I've always felt good whenever I got to that point in streaming, that when there was sort of a regular group of people who came in, and because you're also friendly around here, it would definitely be nice if we can pass that along and make Twitch a nicer place to be. So Johnny just ended just doing a little reading and lurking tonight. Well, I'm very glad to have you here. Was Johnny doing some Anthem? Because it looked like it in my my origins. Okay, wormhole travel. A naturally occurring subspace wormhole is a fickle thing, and its fluctuating energy levels typically make it impossible to travel safely between its linked apertures. There are ways to temporarily stabilize its matrix, however. So that'll be good news for me. Moving right along. I'm not crazy about doing the faster colony development, but I figure now is the best time out of any to do so. I'm also going to change this around a little bit. So Woolgum will be the new engineering lead. That's just for the boost to the mining station output. And I still have a maniacal researcher. So it's not, we'll have a delay on the, a small delay on the, oh no, actually they're level 5 as well. So it'll be the same speed for the regenerative hull tissue, but we will get a bonus towards the mining station output, which is good news. Yeah, I picked Legends was sort of kicking his ass, so he switched over to Anthem. Was he having a good time with Anthem? I know he got an SSD, which should make his experience a little less rage-inducing so far as the load times are concerned. Oop, the experiment has gone on long enough. Our migration treating has turned out to be a serious mistake and will be cancelled with immediate effect. Screw you then. Okay, newly founded colony. I do need to start getting some. Bodies down right away. In this case, though, as much as I feel bad about it, I have to wait. This is really where the... Oh, you know what? I don't have to wait. What am I doing? Problem solved. Across the board. Okay. Next up. I kind of lucked out in getting 2 of these things. Seem to enjoy it a little bit more. People in chat definitely up to spirits after the Apex stuff. I didn't actually get a chance to see that much of what he was doing. Okay, so I've got unemployment, but why? Ah, unemployed specialists. Do I have any specialist jobs to give them, though? I guess I can build another housing district. And as far as Halvam is concerned, I need to think a little bit about what the specialization is going to be here. So I can build a food colony on this Gaia world. It's actually very tempting to do that. One thing I'd actually like to do is build a robot. Oh, well, I can definitely buy some more minerals for that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build robot assembly plant, and then I'm going to build food. So the idea here is that the robots are going to be working on the agricultural district. So this is going to become a little bit more of a sort of a raw resource extraction kind of planet. I'm gonna guess that there's no real way I'm gonna be able to get that migration treaty back. So why are they mad at me? We'll work it out. I mean, there really is nothing, because they're inferior, there's actually nothing stopping me from just trying to vassalize them. But I'm not quite that much of a jerk, so we'll hold off on that for now. I'm also going to take a quick look and just see if there's any other fast upgrades. Yeah, so I've kind of been dropping the ball as far as upgrades are concerned. I've actually been waiting to get minerals, and minerals have always been available for me in the form of just in terms of raw purchases. So let's double check where I'm at. I've got extra volatile motes, which means that in principle I could make another mega forge, but looks like we're already maxed out there. I've got 4 exotic gases, so let's... We'll upgrade another one of those. So that's 1, 2, 3. That's going to be a lot of consumer goods that I need to... Okay, now how am I for those rare crystals? I'm not generating any at the moment, which seems a little odd, to be completely honest. Okay, and actually, while I've got some surplus, let's just double check. Okay, so we're new milestones, good there. Gaul's at milestone. Paradaya needs... Actually, they need it more than anyone else, so... I was going to make this my farming colony, but I already have plans for that. Oh, but I'm already building a city district, so we'll be good there. This is my industrial base, so, but we're already at 60 jobs, so we're good there. I need 2 more jobs here. But I'm already building mining districts, so we'll be covered. I don't actually need to build, so I can build... I do not need to build, like, multiple entries, because this is... I don't actually need to build, like, 1 building for each job that I want. In this particular case, I think it gives me 2 clerk jobs? Yeah, 2 clerk jobs. So I need 1 more on this colony. This seems to be focused on energy, so against my better judgment, I will build that. And then on the Vale, we do need 1 more job. We're pretty good for cities at the moment. So the question is, do I want to go for energy or do I want to go for farming? Theoretically, I can also go for agriculture here. I think we'll go for energy for now. I probably could have stood to make some of this mineral, but we'll see. So I believe the currently unemployed, he's going to decay in 1740. This is going to take like 300 turns, so he should be good. Oh, hang on, clerk isn't a specialist job. That's not going to solve anything. So what we'll do is we'll cancel the city district and we will build an energy grid instead. Okay, on the shoulders of giants, it appears that the asteroid 4009 and the surrounding debris originate from a former planet. Deep within the center of the asteroid, we can find traces of extremely valuable alloys. There are also hints of bacterial life that have now died in the vacuum of space. This shows us that the celestial body once bore the promise of life. Okay, so amazing. This is a pretty important find. Again, so the good news is I've more or less locked off this part of the galaxy for myself. The Vun Okan Shard are not going to be expanding until the end game. And I've closed off all the other paths to these areas. So when I want, I can actually expand out to all this territory and claim it. The problem is that that is going to cause my empire sprawl to just, go bananas, which is why, I won't do that sort of thing. Esteemed Chief Executive Officer Reed Oak, a decade ago, Rhizome Capital pledged to support the artisan troop, and so you have. The time of your patronage is coming to an end, but we would be remiss not to ask, would you care to renew your subscription to the finest arts and crafts in the galaxy? I'm a little light, but this is a good deal, so... So one of the reasons why I'm doing this kind of expansion here, it's not perfect, but it will get me access to some mineral resources that I sorely need. Scans indicate the presence of a foreign alien-made object on one of Jolnum 5's many frozen mountaintops. So here we'll just build as many mining stations as I can. I'm short on farms. I don't think I'm building any.
A system has been surveyed.
I think we'll just leave this for now, but I do need to keep an eye on my resources. Oh, looks like we've got another corporate building that we can build, so to the surprise of no one, I'm going to spend some money, and this time I'm actually going to be a little lighter. I'm only going to go for the 500 that I need to build, and we will churn out another consumer goods producer. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to have about 18 units of consumer goods coming online right away, but of course that's just going to allow me to pull back on my imports, which will help me with my it'll help me with my bank balance, which is a little bit light. Hey, Johnny Big Time, it is great to see you. We were just talking about you. I saw you went off on Anthem. I'm sorry that it seems like Apex Legends was not treating you that well, or at least that's what Lumpy was saying. So I'm sorry to hear that. I was actually really encouraged by your initial enthusiasm for the game, but obviously the team the team aspect is a real bummer for you, I know. But I was very enthusiastic about seeing you play Anthem. I don't know if I'm going to do it on stream that much more, but if you want to partner up, even after Stellaris, if you don't work in the morning, I'd be good for getting a few more rounds in, because I actually, for those of you who are curious about Anthem, so like I am really enjoying it. But I did retweet Kirk McKeon's review of it. He's the deputy editor at VG247. I really like his articles. And he's pretty critical of it. And I don't think he's unfair in the review. I have one substantive sort of disagreement with his review. But the rest of it, I think is a very fair criticism of the game. I'm not bothered by the things that he's bothered by, but I do think, I think if you have been watching some streams and you're on the fence, his review is probably not a bad one to check out, because it will describe, like, the way I know everybody who streams a game is not always going to be enthusiastic about it. Like, I know there will be people who stream like Stellaris or Imperator when it comes out, and it'll be like, oh, this game's confusing, it sucks, blah, blah, blah. You know, this is just the way people are sometimes. But I always sort of think, at least for streamers like myself, like, I'm sort of predisposed to like what I'm streaming because I just don't see value in streaming things that frustrate me. So I sort of think that if you watch a given stream, it's going to be somebody who has a high opinion of the game. And so if you're looking for sort of the counterpoint to, you know, some of what I'm saying, I actually think a review like that's not a bad one. I do think, like, it might talk you out of a sale. Like, don't make it like, you know, the last, if you think that you're going to spoil your fun by getting somebody else's view of it, like, don't go out of your way. But I think it's probably because I'm the sort of guy, I would like enjoy hot dogs for dinner every single day if I could get away with it, because I like simple things, and I'm very enthusiastic about a lot of games that I play. And I realize that not everybody feels that way. So, you know, it's stuff like this, you know, obviously I've gotten the keys for all the Stellaris stuff except for the plantoids, or the humanoid species packs. Like, you know, it's very easy to sort of see how I can be a Paradox shill, and I just use that as a convenient excuse to remind you that, yes, I did get keys from Paradox on this, so buy the game, but please keep in mind that I was given a press key from them. One of the things I do try to do is not talk people into buying something that they might later turn around and not enjoy. But the enthusiasm I have for the games that I play is genuine. Like, I even liked that Slain game that wasn't very good on release. Like, there were some things that I thought were good about it, and there were some things that I didn't think were good about it. But I kind of consider myself lucky that I am easily pleased. But I realize that like, I would not be a very good game reviewer. So Johnny says, Apex never treats you well. You're pretty much finished with that game until they add solo. Fair enough. We just need to play Battlefield 5 Battle Royale. The RCA Meritapanus has recovered an elongated metal box from the surface of Jolnum 5A. Clusters of small perforations on 5 sides lead Science Officer Erica Bloom to believe that it is not a container, but some sort of aerosol dispersal device. Initial tests seem to confirm the suspicions, as trace aromatics still emanate from the object. A special project has been issued to confirm whether it might be an information-carrying device constructed by some alien race, communicating primarily through the secretion and reception of atmosphere-borne chemical compounds. Smells.
Situation log revised.
All right. By the way, I was talking about the games Johnny was playing, but I did not actually shout the man out. Johnny is my favorite streamer on Twitch. He's the only person I'll watch do Battle Royale, but he is also just a really friendly guy. We got a chance to do some Anthem together. I have a lot of
Special
fun
project at
playing
your
playing multiplayer games with Johnny, and I'm actually really happy that we've had more of a chance to do that lately, because I do really like playing games with people, but I find it very hard to find people to play with. So being able to do that with Johnny is always a delight, because he is a remarkably friendly guy, very entertaining, and I know, like, I kind of felt that I didn't do a very good job of streaming when I co-opted with him the second time, but he is somebody who basically makes every stream that he's a part of better. And if you haven't seen him, he has got a tremendously eclectic taste in games. So he's also the person who gave us one of my favorite XCOM streams. And if you've not seen the clips from it, it is absolutely fantastic. So please do check them out, and encourage him to play Stellaris so that we can have more co-op in the future. All right, a whiff of something. The box is indeed a document of a sort. Science officer Erica Bloom admits that they had been hoping for a historical record of some other kind of codex significant to whatever culture left it behind, but they were disappointed. The true nature of the aromatic box seems to be a collection of fairly short narratives which, going by the rapid changes in odor towards the end of each sequence, are intended to surprise or be interpreted as comedic. The techniques used to store and reproduce specific spells is of some interest, but the tales it tells are not. The crew of the RCA Merotopanis are left with an uncomfortable feeling that they have unwittingly become intimately familiar with what certain gaseous byproducts of alien digestion smell like. However, Erica Bloom is unwilling to speculate as to why the box was dumped on this frozen hellscape of a planet. Interesting.
Market outlier identified.
I'm curious if the generator... Well,
A system has been surveyed.
I need to think about how I get
Upscaling
specialists.
complete. Future market survey complete.
The measured surface temperature of Jolnum-5 is in the hundreds of degrees despite its frozen surface. What could be causing these discrepancies? Ugh. I didn't really need to make that. I should have actually thought as to whether or not that would have been a specialist building. Alright, this guy is probably going to turn into a worker class. We'll shut off the technicians for now.
Upscaling complete.
Okay, sort of good news. It's obviously going to be a strain on my resources, but we're almost done this expansion. Oh, and we've got research. So these powerful short-range lasers can easily slice through rock, making the extraction of minerals a more efficient affair. So we're not seeing the bonus yet, but that should come at the end of the month. This is the most tempting one, the replicator kiosks, but the catch is that my my rare crystals are not where they need to be. So I think we'll just go for the cheapest option as usual, which in this case is, well, I'd love to do more mining station output, but in this case I think we're going to go for the plasteel armor. And at some point, I'm going to actually sit down and properly reorganize my existing, my existing worlds. Just put them in better specializations. But for the time being, I think I'm just going to have to live with some of my bad decisions. White hell, despite the seemingly frozen surface of Johnnium-5, the planet's orbital path around Johnnium leaves it blistering at several hundred degrees. Under normal circumstances, this would sublimate the ice of Johnnium-5's surface. However, extreme gravitational pressure exerted by the planet's ultra-dense core keeps water in a solid state, resulting in a planet of fiery hot ice. Curious. God, this would be such a good area to take. But again, just making this big long snake would be a very costly affair. I should probably be thinking a little bit about how I'm going to expand my fleet. Old gods, approaching the benefactress. The RCA Merotapanus has entered the Lazon system, and its crew report that a stellar object, not unlike the shrine to the Untold, is indeed orbiting the star. So before we do anything, let's... Okay, Gaul's got a special building. This should be one that is focused on research if I can. Again, that's just because it's in my little core area. Research lab, I'm short on minerals. In this case, I think I'm going to wait.
Research actualized.
I'm going to wait on that improvement. Sufficiently advanced systems are capable of optimizing themselves if they're made acutely aware of the purpose for which they are made. So this will just be improving the speed of my colonies when I develop them. Now, an energy nexus would be a smart thing for me to build. But unfortunately, I have kind of messed up the whole idea of specialized worlds. I am actually rather tempted to do experimental subspace navigation because that will mean that this ship will not need to go, like, they won't need to take the long way around. But the plasma accelerator is in Flora's wheelhouse. So we're 15 versus 19 months. I think in this case I am going to go for the plasma accelerator because I'm a dummy. Also, for some reason, we have a big food deficit. So I'm going to have to deal with that at some point.
Survey complete.
Okay. So these guys are going to get a ton of mining. So is Akram while I'm at it. So this will bring it up to 29.
Upscaling complete.
Stop that.
Special project actualized.
Deciphering the pictograms in the Benefactress Shrine was a much smoother process than anticipated. All linguists involved describe the language quickly as connecting or clicking in their minds, despite its age and complexity. However, the writings are unlikely to make much sense until they are combined with other writs associated with the rest of the quadrumvirate. Sorry. Oh yeah, it is quadrumvirate. Godhead. Fascinating. So we won't. We're not actually going to be seeing that anytime soon. We've still got two more areas to check
Potential
out.
market survey completed. Outlier identified.
Plant life of truly incredible proportions dominate the landscape of Lazon 3b. Its vibrant colors and gargantuan size are almost calling to our xenobiologists. So the Vale's arguably the better farming colony.
Research actualized.
But I did sort of set myself up for Halvam to be that.
Upscaling complete.
A genetically altered variation of the silicon-based bacteria could potentially be manipulated to regenerate non-organic materials. So, good news on the regenerative hull tissue. That's especially going to be helpful because it will allow me to bring my fleet sort of out into further reaches of space. And I think the Naval Logistics Office is long overdue. It's also cheap, so we'll run ahead with that. Alright, now Python, what do I want to do with you? It's 15% bonus from minor jobs. Predaceous plant life. Science officer Erica Bloom has made some troubling finds on Lazon 3b. The planet's megaflora is not only widespread and gargantuan in proportions, but also predatory. Various species of carnivorous plants rest patiently on its surface, releasing aromatic lures into the air and waiting for prey to come near. Sensitive tendrils on the terminus of the plant's leaves register the approach of animals, resulting in the plant snapping shut around their hapless prey, which are left to be slowly corroded by the digestive acids. Erica Bloom warns that any future colonists will have to steer clear of these predatory plants, as they appear more than capable of trapping a lone adult shareholder. Disconcerting. Okay. So, I can keep hammering away at the civilian fabric. Okay, so we do actually have these fabricators down. How am I for workers? There's enough low-level jobs still for people to take those up, so... I'm a little tempted to consider opening a synthetic crystal plant. We do have 5 jobs left before this will be a big deal, so... Hey, how you doing? Beep boop, let's spend all of our profit on fun things that humans do. That's the plan. I'm finally at a surplus for consumer goods in a very long time. Caravaneers, old with defects. Our starbase in the... And thank you very much for the host. It's great to see you again. Our starbase in the Higma system reports that the Orlan Memorial Caravan fleet has evacuated and abandoned a decrepit ship, now in unstable orbit around the system's central star. So we can say, one man's trash, issue a special project, search the abandoned Caravaneer ship, let the sun swallow it, or tow it to the starbase for disposal. Oh! That's a beautiful sum of consumer goods. I mean, I already have a big... Tricky. I think I am going to take the surplus of consumer goods. Just in case.
Upscaling complete.
Now what the hell am I going to do with Gaul? Oh, well, Gaul's easy. Gaul needs to be a research lab.
A system has been surveyed. Python is actually a conundrum. So... It's just so I can grow my power. Eventually I will expand out some branches. That should give me access to some cheap consumer goods before too long, but I want to make sure that all my influence is taken care of for this expansion first. Okay. I might make this both farming and mineral extraction. Akram is definitely not well suited for either.
So let's say the Vale becomes a farm world. Oop.
Building downsized.
Last chance to strike this deal. You tailored for your needs. You don't want to miss it. We could say deal, but what is that? Monthly society research minus 100%. Yeah, but I don't know what the bunk bed gives me, so we'll say not interested, move along.
Upscaling complete.
I guess I could have used the wiki, but
Research actualized.
alright, this place is just falling apart at this point, so Plasteel armor. Plasteel is an elastic material that combines many of the qualities of plastics and metal. It is relatively cheap to produce and can be used to augment ship armor. So the augmenting minor minerals is not a bad idea. I just don't think I'm generating a lot from that yet. So I think I'm just going to go for the swarmer missiles because they're cheap. Okay, so these four are dedicated to research. Python, in addition to having really wild stability, it's funny too, because we've actually given them things that should make them happy. I'm not quite sure what to make of this planet anymore, to be honest. We might want to actually rebrand... Okay, you know what? No, I know exactly what I want to do with it. We are going to make it a farming world. So this would be for... food processing facilities. We're 5 short, so I think I can wait on that. Also, I misplaced something. Sorry if I said... Oh, here we go. And I knew the consumer goods surplus wouldn't last too long. Just bear with me a second, guys. I've got to, just got something between my teeth. I've had it, like, for half the day, so I just want to floss it out. Sorry, Johnny, I did not get to see your comment before. You get a pass on words I've never seen before. That actually was really funny. Okay. This is going to get expensive. So what am I looking at for planet conversion? First thing I think I want to do is start adjusting... Okay, so this is already on its way to becoming a tropical world. Same deal with Python. Okay. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 colonies. My apologies, 5 colonies. Okay, so we've got size 14, 12, 22, 11. Okay.
This is the most obvious candidate. I don't think I have the money for it, though. So if I made it a tropical world, I'd be cutting half my income. Well, you know what? Let's live a little. And then in the meantime... So again, this is going to blow up my my expansion, but it is going to give me more opportunities to produce goods and services, as long as I find the balance. So, against my better judgment, it's going to cost us food, which is not great, but... I also messed up. I actually want it to be the plantoids that are colonizing, not the... I've gone and done it now. So now I need to find which one of these... I think I'll just cancel the both of them, and then we'll head back. So yeah, I just forgot. I wanted to put down a shareholder, not a... Wait a minute. Why? They like tropical worlds. Also,
Research actualized.
I'm not convinced that they do have a planned colony, unless they're forcing the decision. Okay, body of knowledge regarding combat behaviors is useless without a strong code governing its use. So that's going to give me some excuses to start upgrading my shipyards again. The starbase capacity is a very tempting one, especially because it's relatively inexpensive. Chemical bliss is probably not... It's really not the thing I need right now, so we'll go for starbase capacity. Okay. I don't get it. Plantoids should like... Oh, it's because they're non-adaptive. Well, that wound up being... That wound up being a costly choice. So the answer is going to be yes, and that's because of a plan I have. Alright, now that's just weird. Oh, wait a minute, there's probably a modifier on that planet, that's why. Again, I'm just trying to maximize the number of colonies I have in order to be able to build and get as much as I can. Also, it would be nice to have some planets in sectors so that I can start doing a little bit more specialization. So for instance, Halvam, I'm a little bit happier that I'm going to be focusing on industry and agriculture.
Potential market survey completed.
And the reason for that is this is already part of a system. So basically, this can, like, what it's going to wind up being eventually, this is going to be tech focused, this is going to be food and industry focused, and then that's going to be sort of how I try to rebuild my my empire if I can. In the meantime, we will definitely decrease our pop amenities usage. So that should cause happiness overall to increase. The dream of a utopian future drives our people ever forwards. A better tomorrow is worth fighting for. The alternative would have been to extend the time it takes for unemployed pops to decay, but...
A system has been surveyed.
Now, I should be able to build stuff with alloys, so let's take a quick minute and see what
Potential market survey completed.
Okay, so that's max.
Upscaling
max.
complete.
The agreement that we signed giving you access to our databanks has run its course. Would you like to extend it for another 10 standard years, or do your researchers no longer require the information that we offer? So we would like to extend the deal. Excellent. Our databanks shall remain available to your scientists. This is why I was a little reluctant to try and convert this planet, but as long as I've got 5,000 in the bank, I'm generally happy. Okay, the United Hythian League can now use the expropriation casus belli against us. The United Hythian League has left the propitious Concord. Oh, these guys are in deep trouble. It's tempting, but I don't really know if well, yeah, let's go for it. So why did they suddenly become so hostile? Oh, so every time I declined the war, it made them mad. That's really funny. Okay. I'm going to wait until the truce is over, and then I will give them an offer they can't refuse. These new accelerators launch projectiles at high energy plasma with improved containment fields. This results in less energy leakage as the projectile travels in space towards its target. All right. Shield capacitor or energy credits. How much am I generating? Not a lot. Capacitor it is. We get to go to war soon, guys! Well, in 10 years, so that's like 6 streams from now.
Incoming inquiry.
The Oba Star Dynasty. The galaxy presents enough threats without having to worry about a war between Rhizome Capital and the Oba Star Dynasty. We suggest entering a non-aggression pact. Sure. I mean, it probably cost me as far as influence is concerned, but I don't mind. I don't mind having a bit of protection. Oh, you know what? They're probably going to close the commercial agreement soon too, so I won't expand any more. I won't do any more expansion there. Actually, they might have already done that. Nope. But they are sort of my they're my main trading partner, so that's good. They actually have me at a disadvantage there. Okay, so I was kind of neglecting my duties here. We'll build some mining stations. This one will expand out. Now the good news here is that I can use all of my influence for other activities. So let's start by... Let's go by taking a look at my new allies. So I can establish a branch office. The real drawback here is that this is going to cost me quite a bit as far as energy goes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be patient on these. I will establish more corporate offices, but I want to make sure that I have enough money to pay off the or pay for the extension to the trade the curator whatchamacallits. also need to figure out what composition I want for this.
Upscaling
Bring it.
complete. A system has been surveyed.
Wow, these guys are just really setting themselves up for pain. My one fear actually is that these guys go in before the others. I don't think we can subjugate these guys.
Research actualized.
Fast enough. Our future lies in the Sea of Stars. Now, unfortunately, I have used up all my alloys, so I'm not able to take advantage of the extra bases, but this will be helpful in the future. Crime and amenities is tempting. Occupational garrisons... I'm going to do the leader lifespan. That's just because I've got a good scientist on Rhizome Capital at the moment.
Research actualized.
This guy's only got a couple more years before he decays, so...
A system has been surveyed.
Okay, these smaller missiles are launched in volleys and have been specifically designed to overwhelm enemy point defense systems. So... for engineering, it's always tempting to go for something that's industrial focused. Mineral purification hubs, 25% bonus to mineral production. It's not bad, but it's not exactly where I want to go with this. So what we'll do instead, we'll go autocannon. Basil Maple will now be the new chief. No. Because that is not Basil Maple. So that's just matching up to specializations. I don't have any really good answers as far as consumer goods. I think I'm just going to be working down my surplus for the next little while. One slower way of addressing this, of course, is to get my corporate offices built, but I don't want to tempt fate as far as maintaining my...
Upscaling complete.
bases. Actually, there's one thing I want to check out really quick. So apparently I've got... I don't think that makes a lot of sense, to be honest. So I've got 60. Let me just take a second here and bring up my... So that should be 28. These things are like 4, so I should have like 5 cruisers, 10 destroyers, and like 20 corvettes. So we've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so I'll take 8 corvettes out of... Well, eventually I'll take 8 corvettes out of this thing. Yeah. I'll wait till the upgrade happens, but I'm going to have to mess around with the composition a little bit. Despite the toxic content and high pressure of this moon's atmosphere, strong life signs have been detected coming from its surface. And apparently my construction ship is idle again. Why? Because it has finished its duties. So, mining and research as always. Eventually we will terraform these, but...
Research actualized.
We will be patient. Shield capacitor. These capacitors store surplus energy, which can be quickly transferred to reinforce a ship's shields. Okay, positronic AI is very tempting, but it's also the most expensive thing that I can get right now. I don't have a specialist for it, so we are going to be going to war before too long. So I can try proton launchers, or I can try ion disruptors, or I can do antimatter reactors. I'm actually going to go for the reactors on this one because it's a good general It's a good general use one. And as for the rest of this, I think I'm actually going to wait until the game tells me that I have surplus capacity. So apparently I'm still going to have space for one more upgrade. This is why my consumer goods tanked all of a sudden, by the way, because all of my research just got a big kick in the kick in the pants. Although toxic to most forms of life, Zosma 4a supports a thriving ecology within the high pressure of its atmospheres. Life here uses ammonia instead of water as a solvent, and is developed in ways that differ significantly from previously established ecological models. Its study would greatly benefit our knowledge of xenobiology. So, nice, but not within my borders. Okay.
A system has been surveyed.
I'm going to need to build up some capacity once we get our new colonist. Gaul needs 2 more workers somewhere. It could come in the form of an upgrade to the research labs,
Colonial Enterprise upsizing.
which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, to be honest. I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. Unless I can do that on... No, I can't.
Upscaling complete.
So it's
Research actualized.
tempting... Oh, nope, you know what? I can't do that. It's because Rhizome Capital has the Research Institute, so it actually makes sense to put all the specialists on the capital. Where the body fails, science intervenes. Okay. So, fleet command limit is kind of tempting because it'll allow me to get even bigger fleets to go smash the enemy with. Or bonus to population growth speed. I think I'm actually going to go for the pop growth speed just because I do really want more people to be working these tiles.
Market outlier identified.
Bits and pieces of metal are strewn across BT-233D's surface, encircling what looks like the hulk of a ship. The wreckage appears deserted, but energy readings remain. Alright. So Gaul still needs workers, or something for work though, so against my better judgment, I will eventually build a mineral. New Baldorak announcements. General Paltanak here, acting military governor of New Baldorak. I am pleased to announce that the end of major combat operations in Sector 47G. At least 512 insurgents have been confirmed killed since the operation began 2 cycles ago, while our own losses have been minimal. Extra commendations to all forces involved in keeping civilian casualties to an acceptable level. Paltanak out. So, enough. Block all future transmissions from these creatures, or interesting. I always go for interesting because this is an incredibly charming little quest line.
Situation log revised.
The RCA Maritapanus has entered the Sayuva system, and its crew report that the stellar object is not unlike the shrine to the Untold that is indeed orbiting the star. Okay. So, this is a priority for research.
Research actualized.
Large caliber
Upscaling
ballistic
complete.
weapons fire encased explosive shells. The main advantage of these cannons is their higher fire rate. Okay, so do I want the destroyer hull points or do I want to go for broke and get the Star Fortress? 22 months is not the worst time. I think I'm actually going to go for the Star Fortress just because that'll give something for my surplus alloys to do. Okay, I need to build something on Yamal pretty quick. Stranded scientists. The wreckage on the asteroid BT-233D is the remains of a vessel belonging to a now stranded scientists, Cognat, identifying themselves as belonging to the hitherto unknown Mer species. From amidst the records, she somehow managed to contact Ash Oak, the science officer stationed aboard the RCA Hemivalis, and is requested to be rescued. She explains that her collision was due to malfunctioning navigational sensors, and that she has been unable to leave the asteroid for several years. She claims her scientific knowledge would be without equal, and that she would be a valuable asset. She points to her survival as proof of that. So we can say, no, leave her, 50% chance that Ash Oak becomes adaptable or paranoid. Yes, we will get our new scientist. And I feel bad, but so I think I can build another science ship. Actually, I have an idea for that one. If I build another science ship, I can get it to boost the research on Rhizome Capital. Now, unfortunately, there's nothing else for me to really build here, so in this case, my construction ship's going to sit idle, but that's not a terrible place for it to be at the moment, to be honest, so we'll just dock you there. And Equity Station can build a fancy little science ship. We might wind up throwing it away later, but it's just something to keep the scientists occupied while we do the rest of our business.
Future market survey complete.
Okay. Commercial star invitation. Oh, somebody wants to trade with me. Oh, nope. Looks like they are busy opening corporate offices already. I wonder if that denies me the ability to open an office. It does not. And in this case, it'll cost me 1,000. I still have enough to be able to take advantage of the deal, so we will open. Establishing a new branch office on Huogi will cost us 1,275.63 and is expected to generate a monthly income of 42.9 based on the current trade value of the planet. It will also increase empire sprawl, but it won't increase it as much as it normally would because of some of the traits that we picked. This will be obviously fantastic. Oops. What's the deal going on here? Why are you like this? I mean, it will not be the worst thing in the world.
Evading competitive fleet.
If this dies. Shared knowledge. The recent scientist edition of Cognate has put her knowledge of technology to good use. Her shared insights have pushed our physics research to new heights. Research into physics is furthered.
Research actualized.
Very nice. Okay, so Subspace Sensors, which is very beautiful. Sensors that detect subspace fluctuations left in the wake of traveling starships. Their sensitivity and range is greater than that of a gravitic sensor array, so this is more visibility, which I always like. And she's continuing on with the antimatter reactor, so we'll just keep with that. Let's see whether or not this thing gets eaten.
Upscaling complete.
It does not. But we will admire the beauty of the Ether Drake nonetheless.
Market outlier identified.
Caught in orbit around QT-1-138 is a small unknown object moving at such high speed that it beggars belief. Oh, and we also gain the Defense Grid supercomputer. Aligning defensive and offensive weapons execution paradigms allows for increased efficiency. Good news there. I will eventually try and clear out some of these creatures,
actualized.
but Shrine to the Undaunted. After days of activities that can be best termed as fiddling, Science Officer Erica Bloom has retrieved the Doctrine of the Undaunted, a textile scroll coated in a sturdy plastic polymer. Okay, you are not going there, my friend. You are going to study this system, and then you're
Future
going
market
to
survey complete.
move here. So this is just so I can close that quest line. I am, of course, keeping an
Upscaling
eye
complete.
on how long until that treaty's done. So 2313. Not even halfway. That makes me sad. So Yamal's gonna need somebody to work soon. I think I will buy the minerals. Attempts to scan the object in high-speed orbit of QT-1138 have been unsuccessful. The object quickly falls below QT-1138's horizon, and the RCA Hemivalis's instruments are simply unable to keep up. While QT-1138's gravitational pull is strong, that alone does little to explain the object's extreme momentum. Either the object itself possesses some extraordinary properties, or there is some gravitational phenomenon at work here. The object's velocity appears to be increasing over time, and Science Officer Ash Oak suspects that it may soon be thrown out of orbit, even without outside interference. So we can try to slow it down, can attempt to halt it, or we can get away from it. Let's try to slow it down. The drone successfully intercepted the unknown object's orbit. By latching onto the object and then thrusting in reverse, little by little, the drone was eventually able to direct it to the RCA Hemivalis for retrieval. The object looks to be some sort of box, constructed of alien material. Vein-like ridges meander along its sides, congregating at the top of some kind of sphere-shaped mechanism. We can only guess as to its contents. We will study it.
Situation log revised.
This sounds like the beginning of a Ridley Scott movie. Good news is, we are no longer hurting for minerals.
Research actualized.
So for here, again, because this is in the capital system, I want to be focusing on research, even at the expense of consumer goods. Breakthroughs in enucleation and artificial womb technology allows for the mass production of individuals based on a common genetic template. More social research. Habitability wouldn't be bad, but the end game was actually going to be gene modification points, because I should be able to get rid of the habitability problem there. As for the rest, we do need to bring it up to 25, so we'll put another farm on
Special
Gull.
project actualized.
Finally, our scientists have managed to peek into the alien box without compromising the container itself. By utilizing an advanced type of sonar, they have been able to identify its contents. The contents are puzzling, or at least unexpected. The box holds 3 small vials, each filled with an unknown liquid. The box is safe to open, but it will require further research to understand how. We will open it.
Situation log revised.
Again, you'll notice I'm sort of patrolling my planets, and this is just to make sure that I have sort of enough jobs to get me to the next level. This one's actually got a surplus. That was a bit of a blunder on my part, but... and we're okay for... I mean, we could be better for minerals, but at the moment I'm going to be focusing on agriculture, because obviously that's our negative right now. There's no hope of getting this guy still as a specialist. So it's a shame that I'm losing a specialist, because obviously it's nice to have people generating these value-added goods, but there's really not anything to be done about it. So At long last, our scientists have penetrated the outer material of the alien box. The 3 small vials inside are indeed filled with different liquids, one red, one blue, and one green. The liquids are less alien than the container, and our scientists have identified them as primed gene modification mediums. For reasons beyond our understanding, the solutions are quickly deteriorating outside their alien container, but there should be enough time to synthesize and apply one of them to our species. It has not yet been confirmed that the effects would be positive, but it has been confirmed that its effects would be positive, but exactly how remains to be seen. We will drink the green solution. The green gene modification solution has been successfully administered to all shareholder people. Based on preliminary observation of early subjects, the solution appears to improve our ability to adapt to our environment. I was hoping that would happen. So we've got bioadaptability and non-adaptive. But the plan is to eventually get rid of non-adaptive.
Potential market survey completed.
Okay, Akram actually has a lot of people. I don't need to worry so much about
Colonial Enterprise upsizing.
I mean, I can get another construction facility, I suppose. I think I'm just gonna wait it out a little bit on that planet. However, I should get in a couple months another opportunity for virtual entertainment studios. I do want to keep an eye on my wealth, but obviously we're growing as far as our energy, so it seems like a good excuse to go expanding in all these other areas. It's actually a little more eventful than I thought it was going to be. I know my Stellaris streams can be a little ponderous, but...
Upscaling complete.
Alright, now Halvam is a bit of a conundrum, but I did say it was going to be an industrial planet. So we'll start with food processing facilities.
Upscaling complete.
We'll throw in a free... Well, you know what? No need to go nuts. We should be...
Colonial Enterprise upsizing.
I should actually build a farm just so the robots have something to do. Okay, I believe my fleets should be done. Nope, they are still upgrading.
Upscaling complete.
I mean, not the worst thing in the world to have my fleets getting better. I do still have the threat of the Marauders and the Great Khan emerging. I've also got an idle science ship, which makes me very sad. Oh, yes, that's right. So this fella's not doing anything. So we'll get you to expand. But yeah, so the good news is right now I have enough for 2 fleets. Actually, I have just enough fleet capacity to be able to have 2 full strength fleets. The drawback is that I don't think my my actual firepower is even remotely close to what I need to be able to take on these Marauders. So, like, essentially, it's not just that I'm looking... So these guys are all going to combine in on me in the most likely scenario. So it's not just that I need to have 21k in terms of strength. I also need to be sure that I can deal with these habitats, these 3.6k. So effectively, I want to make sure that I'm coming with about 30k worth of firepower. Following a long period of growing support for the individual choice organization, the Democratic Panaxula Union has finally embraced the faction, adopting their core values and policies. As a result of bringing this faction into their government, they have become more egalitarian. Who are these guys again? Whatever they are, they're inferior. Okay. I don't need to worry too much about them.
Research actualized.
By harnessing the energy produced by matter antimatter annihilations, our efficiency of generating ship power will be orders of magnitude better than fusion. So good news there. I need to start thinking a bit about where my easy wins are as far as tech is concerned. In this case, I'm going to go for the extra survey speed. Still shy of the... So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to wait until I get to 500, and once I'm at 10k, every time I get an extra 1,000, I'm going to build a new corporate office. And I think that will be true of all of the systems. They may not quite pay for themselves, but I do like the idea of a nice constant stream of income coming in. Through hard work and experience, Governor Rose Maple has developed new skills. She's gained the architectural interest trait. I don't think that will help me too much on the planet she's on, though. And we have got star fortresses. These mighty space forts will provide a focal point for all military activity in a star system, and their presence is sure to deter all but the most stubborn of attackers. So normally good news, but I'm actually going to be a little shy on alloys for the next little while, I think. Now this is a mighty tempting one, because my robots will get better, and it's an inexpensive upgrade. My alternatives are improved strike craft, which will actually probably help me maintain my my trading routes, but those are generally okay. And then, yeah, I think I am going to use the machine template system just because it's a pretty inexpensive one. And in this particular case, I'm going to rearrange my researchers. This is genuinely curious. I think Flora Hawthorne will make it better, but let's see here. So Basil Maple gives a 80% bonus. Flora gives... Oops, I'm not paying attention. 83. Okay, fair enough. And actually, it's not bad that she's staying inside the labs because she's not going to be... Well, she doesn't gain experience as quickly, so once I get a new science ship, which should be ready before too long, I can put my next guy on it. So I'm going to hold off on upgrading the military for a little while, just so I can actually rebalance just so I can rebalance my my fleet composition. Making gene editing tools widely available is sure to have a positive impact on our development as a species. So now we can either improve the fleet command limit or do cyto-revitalization centers. Now, this is gonna sort of... Oh, hang on. Or faction influence... No, I want the extra influence because that will help me build more corporate offices. Right now, I have perfect fleet cap for all of my fleets. Now that's a dumb reason to want that, because obviously I want to maximize my ability to wage war. We're back in the surplus for food. That's good news there. Although I don't want to rest on my laurels there, because that'll change pretty quick. I'm also going to take a quick second and make sure that the existing planets don't have any restrictions on... How are you for jobs? You're okay. How are you for jobs? You're okay. I just want to make sure I haven't... I know I closed down some of my technician jobs for a bit. I just want to make sure that they're reopened again. I'm still getting used to the new pop system sometimes. Yeah, so that's all filled up now. I hope this means we're at capacity with researchers.
Market outlier identified.
MF44D1 is home to a number of exquisite impact craters. However, something breaks the visual uniformity in one of the larger craters. So we'll research it. New colonies founded. Great news there. And we're at 11K, so let's go find another tasty expansion. So what are you at for popular? Well, you're kind of small, to be honest. So 9.8 versus... that's a nice size 18. Oh yeah, we're building a branch office here. So we're going to kind of continue on in this spirit. Oh, actually, this would have been a good expansion target too. Just going to wait a little bit and then we can build another one. So the consumer goods, I mean, the nice thing about building consumer goods on other people's planets is that I don't give up my mineral resources. Now, you can make the same argument for, say, getting
survey complete.
Alloys or research or something like that. Obviously, if you're here's the way that I think about this division between consumer goods and research and whatnot. So consumer goods are an input to research. In my view, research is a good on its own, and particularly in this empire because I have a huge empire sprawl penalty. I basically have to pay an extra 60% for everything. So making sure that my research is as high as it can be is a pretty high priority for me. So what this means is I don't just want to build infrastructure that allows me to get... here's the way to think about this. I don't want to build infrastructure that just gives me some fixed amount of research. I want to build infrastructure that gives me that research and then allows me to improve on it. And I'll show you what I mean when I get through these windows. These shipboard lab facilities incorporate advanced technologies from the ancient curator order to further increase survey speeds. It is mighty tempting to go for this positronic AI. Is it 30 months? I gotta do it. Okay, so you'll notice here, right? We've got the advanced research complex. We don't have any surplus exotic gases anymore, and this is because I'm importing a whole bunch, but it's all going directly into maintaining these. So why am I doing this? Well, basically because when this thing is working at full capacity, it's generating 32 of each research type. In addition, I've got the Research Institute, which is getting an additional 15% in terms of its research bonuses. And then when I build the extra science ship, that one's going to be dedicated to boosting the research output. And Rose Maple is giving an additional 10% to research. Now you can compare that to what you get on one of the corporate sites. So in this case here, there's lots of different things that I can build. And I mean, it's also worth mentioning, right? Like the exact same trade-off exists. So we could take, Akram, and I've got my civilian industries, and obviously I can upgrade the civilian fabricators, I can spend the crystals, and I'll get additional consumer goods and so on and so forth. But think a little bit about the trade-off, right? You've got research, which is going to give you access to weapons with which you can wage war. They'll give you access to upgrades to your buildings that will allow you to sort of produce more goods and services for your population. They're going to allow you to terraform worlds to reduce your amenities cost. Essentially, technology is the thing that is going to allow you to do more, right? Just like it is in the real world. If you want an economist's definition of technological progress, it's essentially something that gives you productivity improvements. It's a thing that will allow you to produce the same or more, goods and services using the same inputs or less. They're roughly equivalent, right? So if I'm working and I'm doing statistical analysis and I generate, let's say, $75 worth of statistical analysis for an hour, and then I learn a new trick that makes me a little bit better at SAS. I know a bunch of people who do data analysis are like, oh my god, you use SAS, oh, you're a dinosaur. It's actually a really good program, but I don't use it at home. But yeah, if I discover a trick that makes me, a little bit faster at it, maybe I even just shave 5 minutes off of the time that it takes me. Well, that's 5 minutes that I can either do another statistical analysis or just time for me to pursue some other good or service. Obviously, I'm selling my labor, and either I can try and command a higher salary because I do more, or I can consume leisure instead. And that's it's basically how it's modeled in every video game as well, right? Positronic AI, I am spending this many physics research points in order to get a 5% bonus to everything else. It will take me less time to to research these things. Robot modification points. Why do I want that? Well, because it will make my robots more productive. How do they become more productive? Well, they quite literally get a bonus to the resources that they're creating, or a reduction to their costs. So yeah, I mean, it's no secret, right? Ever since we played Civilization, we know that if you spend money on technology, you're going to have a good time. And if you don't spend money on technology, you're going to find it very difficult to make progress in the game. So with that in mind, I see a lot of sense in focusing on technology, and particularly focusing in technology in such a way that it's going to allow me to expand out. I was like, okay, well, you've got a big consumer goods deficit, and you're actually, like, right now I'm still spending money on importing this stuff, right? So how do you justify that? Like, clearly you need, there's actually a very good argument, right? Like, why are you not letting your production of consumer goods scale in the same way that your demands of consumer goods are scaling? Because I mean, these aren't cheap, right? It's $228 for each item, so essentially I'm burning up almost 30 energy worth. About 30 energy worth of consumer goods. So the reason I can kind of justify that, I mean, it would be better I would prefer to have a mineral deficit than a consumer goods deficit, because minerals cost half as much. Although admittedly the price is probably bid up because I'm, no, get out of there. That's a scary menu. It's probably because I'm buying so many of them. But then again, I also have like the, where is it? It's the intergalactic market. There we go. Look at that beauty. I spent a lot of money on lobbyists to get that. The reason why I'm less concerned, like the reason why I'm taking advantage of all of these corporate expansions in order to be the crater on MF44D1 exhibits long irregular marks imprinted onto the relatively soft upper layers of the asteroid. Science officer Erica Bloom has recovered some interesting unexpected wreckage from the edges of the depression, wheeled vehicles, seemingly personal transports rather than research craft. The crew of the RCA Maritapanus speculate that the crater may once have been used for sport, with some alien species pitting their personal locomotion devices against each other in tests of mechanical strength or speed in near zero G. Vroom. Not quite ready. But yeah, so the idea here is that I'm not going to be able to expand the virtual entertainment complexes. But the thing is that if I expand all of these corporate offices, first of all, I'm getting a lot of money. And then number 2, I'm not spending anything on input, so my minerals are not going down. My consumer goods are going up, and essentially, well, okay, sorry, there's a fixed cost. There's like an upfront cost that I spend to actually, to get this building made. But the idea here is that I am able to sort of raise the floor of consumer goods that I'm producing. And the nice thing is that minerals I actually need to produce other things. So basically, consumer goods exist to me as inputs for research, and there are a couple of other jobs that require research, but basically, research is the main thing that's consuming my consumer goods. Because I don't see consumer goods as important in and of themselves, essentially I see producing consumer goods as a drag on my mineral resources, which I would rather use to build more infrastructure or to turn into rare goods like those crystals or whatever. Being able to offset the construction of consumer goods into another being able to convert that cost in terms of minerals into something else is ideal. A similar argument exists for alloys, right? Because, of course, alloys are something that I use to build my ships, and you're like, well, why don't you save yourself the mineral cost in terms of the alloys? It's like, because alloys I actually want to be able to scale in order to make sure that I'm able to maintain my fleets. So my argument so far has been that consumer goods are the thing that I'm willing to burn up those offices for. If I can, it'd be nice to get more Unity, it'd be nice to get more research, so on and so forth. But if I have a deficit of consumer goods, the ideal for me is to be able to offload that to some of my branches. So, dearest customer, we regret to inform you that the trade deal we negotiated for the export of exotic gas to the worlds of Rhizome Capital have run its course. We are, of course, more than willing to extend the deal for another 10 years if you have the energy credits to spare. I do indeed. We wish to extend the deal. This is a product that we here at Zuracorp are particularly proud of. Our medical division has recently begun refining gas with unique properties that will significantly ease the often difficult process of adapting to a foreign planetary environment. It is, however, unlikely to be compatible with alien physiology. We are willing to export our exotic gas to you for a period of 10 standard years, after which the contract will have to be renegotiated. So I'm willing to spend 50 energy credits to get more exotic gases in. So that's the Zuracorp way. Our freighters will begin making deliveries immediately. By purchasing this product, you agree that Zuracorp cannot be held responsible for any adverse effects that may result from its use, including, but not limited to, skin irritation, psychotic episodes, ocular discoloration, aggressive mutation, increased colonist suicide rates, precognitive trances, biosphere depletion, dangerous stranglet production, micro-black hole generation, grain elevator explosions, societal collapse, mass extinction events, unexpected supernova detonations, the complete and partial destruction of your star nation, sudden gamma ray bursts, time travel paradoxes, vacuum metastability events, universal entropy, the collapse of the space-time continuum. Goodbye. I actually think that's a great deal. Again, I'm a megacorp, right? So it works rather well for me. I should actually see if I have any other. I don't think there are any other trade leagues in range. Oh, there are. Hello. I would like strategic resources. I would very much like rare crystals. Shikrat Du, or rare crystals as they are known to those who are not our species, have come to symbolize our entire civilization. When these singing crystals vibrate, they emit a unique musical tone that has a calming effect on most sapients. Although we typically do not share the wonders of the Shrikat Du with outsiders, we are willing to make an exception in your case, if you can afford it. We are willing to export our crystals to you for a period of 10 years. So again, it's 50, it's not cheap, but excellent. Our merchants will begin shipping the crystals to your planets at once. May the Shrakdu sing to you. Now, I did not know that was actually an upfront cost. So I am a bit light now. But I am A-okay with spending those resources, because what this is going to allow me to do now, Python is probably the best candidate for this. I'm actually able to boost up my civilian fabricators to more effective more affected buildings. Now again, this will have a fairly substantial mineral cost, so we're going to be back to that trade-off. But the Hythian Star League has ended their rivalry with the... Ooh, that's going to get...
Research actualized.
These guys are probably going to wind up getting on side. So non-aggression pacts... Okay. So this is reasonably good news because it's unlikely there will be an invasion. However, if they open up a defensive pact, that might be a little bit of a problem for me. Rewritable assembly templates allow for the creation of bespoke synthetic worker designs. Great news for me there. I think in anticipation of the... okay, so mining station output or mining workers, same cost. So what produces more? My stations unquestionably produce more. So autonomous mining drones it is. Okay. Still have 5 years. I did not know these guys were equivalent fleet power to me. That's surprising. I actually don't believe that, but... So I'll take a quick peek. Oh, I'm not able to see their ships. That's a pity. Now, there's a couple of things that I can do to boost up my fleet strength. Like, this might just be a paper advantage that they have. Oh, Old Gods approaching the Percipient. The RCA Merotapanus has entered the Nithoscat system, and its crew report that a stellar object not unlike a shrine to the Untold is indeed orbiting the star. Well, I know what I want to have happen. Okay. I did say I was going to build up my fleets. Okay, actually, while I'm at it, so I said I wanted 20 corvettes, so let's just get those 14 out right now. Sorry for destroyers. I want one more destroyer, assuming I have them. And then I think I wanted 5 cruisers. My standard cruiser is the Livius class. So I messed something up. Anyways, Can I afford this? Let's say yes. This one's going to be a little bit more of a slush fleet, so I think I'll just knock it all down to where I can. So, in theory, if I wanted to turn this into a... Well, I can upgrade them. That's what I can start with. I'm going to take a while to build some ships anyway, so... and then next turn this should turn over and we'll be able to get some more consumer goods. Obviously I'm going to be waiting a while on my energy credits. I actually need to be a little more careful about how I balance out all of these deals, because I'm going to get hit with basically 10,000... So in 10 years from now I'm going to get hit with 10,000 in energy credit demands back to back. And then probably partway through that, I'm going to get hit with an extension. I should probably keep a minimum of 10,000 in the bank from now on until I work out a better pattern for my my trade.
Special project actualized.
All right, what horrible things have just happened to me here? Science Officer Erica Bloom has reported back with the RCA Meritopanis' finding on the Precipient's Shrine. They have recognized early that a text in some logomorphic script is inlaid in the walls, heavily distorted by the layers of translucent lacquer. Initial attempts at unscrambling the text, relying on raw processing power of the RCA Meritopanis' computers to reconstruct the text from plain images, proved fruitless, as it was simply too distorted to place any known lingual family tree. Next, the crew of the RCA Meritopanis attempted bombarding the lacquer with light of varying wavelengths and intensity, but no beneficial reactions were observed. Erica Bloom apparently considered physically separating the lacquer from the inlaid text, but realized that the strange glyphs would doubtlessly have been made misshapen to begin with, only to assume their proper shape when viewed correctly through the lens of the lacquer. Science Officer Erica Bloom was about to call the mission a failure when, looking up as they irritably paced along the edges of the circular space, they realized that discrete lines of cohesive text were momentarily forming before their eyes, melting away only to be replaced by new lines. Not long after they had the ceiling, walls, and floor imaged in a spiral pattern. Text from other shrines should help us piece it all together. Fascinating. The complete doctrine of the gods, for that is what the recovered texts have been regarded as, dwarfing the fairy tale scraps upon which the old shareholders' religions were founded, is as shockingly revelatory as it is revolutionary. With only a little bit of creative interpretation, it is clear that the people of Rhizome Capital were meant for great things, guided by the strong hand of a religious leader. Our path is one to godhood, but our past is littered with prophecies unfulfilled and sin born of ignorance. Redemption is ephemeral. So we can suppress the findings. Knowledge is power. Secret knowledge is secret power. Ends the Shrines to the Gods event chain. Monetize the findings. Some of the wealthier faith corporations have caught wind of the affair and are very interested. What can we learn from this? Regardless of the veracity or validity of the sacred tests, the fact remains that we share religious concepts with some older, unknown spacefaring race. 350 Society research. Or walk in the footsteps of the divine, start a religious renaissance, shifting the empire ethics towards spiritualist, a ton of unity, which I have to assume is the compensation for shifting towards spiritualist. And unfortunately, we are decidedly materialist, and given all of the robots I have, I'm really not willing to do that. So what can we learn from this? Also, more importantly, we did get gene editing, so let's create a template. Sadly, I don't have enough to get rid of non-adaptive. It is tempting to possibly, mess around with some of these, especially some of the things like intelligent or whatever, but I think the real dilemma here is going to be when I get the trait picks level 2, because then there'll be the question of, do I want a 10% bonus to my research, which is obviously really big, especially with all my other bonuses, or do I want to reduce the costs of being on unfamiliar planets? And I'm not sure how I'm going to answer that yet.
Research actualized.
All right, Deep Space Black Site. The Empire lives, the Empire breathes. We make up its body, but it is not for the left hand to know what the right hand is doing. So hopefully that'll give us a little more influence. The bonus food crops is kind of tempting. But we are in reasonably good shape for that. So the other possibility is Interstellar Campaigns to help me with the anticipated wars that will be coming up. Or the bonus to habitability. In this case, I think I'm going to do Interstellar Campaigns. Because I also have a feeling if these guys are as strong as it's claiming they are, I'm actually going to have to earn this, and it's going to take me a while.
A system has been surveyed.
The one bit of good news is I've got like a gun pointed right at them at Okram. And I mean, they've also got a pretty spiffy little base, so mind you, this is not even remotely strong enough to cause me problems. We'll see. But yeah, similar story. I'm going to wait until I'm at 10k in terms of energy. I should be a little careful with my consumer goods, by the way. So I don't think I'm going to be able to rely on this for too much longer. But yeah, once we get to 10k, I'm just going to take the surplus and build some more corporate offices until there's no more space. I'm also a little curious how we're doing on the
Outlier identified.
strong energy emissions of an unknown origin make this asteroid stand out from the rest of its peers in a crowded asteroid field. Also, we should have an idle science check. We do. We actually have a few. All right. Erica Bloom, I think we'll just get you to do your usual thing. Basil Maple. Got too many good researchers. Basil Maple will have the honor of supporting research on the capital. Where's my other construction ship? On its way. Okay. Hopefully my colonies haven't completely fallen apart yet. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of effort into
Upscaling
upgrading
complete.
some of the construction. Can probably do the same for Python. This particular asteroid is an extrasolar capture and appears to have been washed by some kind of exotic radiation as it plummeted through interstellar space before finally settling in the Thrad system. The original source of this radiation remains unknown, but the RCA Juris has been able to pick up a wealth of physics data by studying the asteroid's energy emissions. Okay, so obviously the fallen empires are ahead. Now, it's particularly interesting. So we've got the Renar protectors. We've got the Von Akon Shard.
Colonial
but
enterprise
apparently
established.
there is
Future market survey complete.
another great power somewhere. I'm also a little curious how much of this is due to the Federation. Apparently none of it. Okay, so that's going to be interesting. So the Hythian League, how are they for... It doesn't actually have anything in terms of military. So we dwarf them in technology. Yeah, we're just crushing them. I'm also kind of curious how we're doing for pops. So we definitely are behind. Definitely behind on pops. Okay, new colonies going good. Now, this was a recycling oh god, yeah, these are going to be tough. So, I kind of have to do it because it helps me with my consumer goods. It's going to put me behind on getting
Research
fancy
actualized.
toys, though. Right. Fleets of autonomous drones equipped with mining beams are deployed to quickly and efficiently gather nearby minerals. So, more good news as far as my mineral deficit is concerned. Engineering is going to be a conundrum, though. 63 months is not the worst thing in the world for living metal. Let's give my volatile moat something to do. I was wondering if I had somebody perfect for that job. I don't, but I think I'm actually gonna. I think I'm gonna do the moonshot and healthcare campaign. I think is population growth. I think that's going to be one that I'm willing to. That's going to be one that I'm willing to hang out to dry for a little bit. Okay, so Akram doesn't really need a lot more work, so I'm actually gonna sit on my hands as far as that upgrade's concerned. We're obviously still have quite a bit of slack in the labor market and the capital. How are we for... Yeah, so it's rare crystals that I need to be exploiting.
Colonial enterprise established.
We're flirting a little bit with disaster, but I think 3 pops I'm okay with. Paradaya... yeah, I think I'm just gonna sit on this because I do want to set them up with a research
actualized
system as soon as I can. I think we'll start building housing on all my new colonies as soon as possible. A well-oiled war machine is the key to exerting influence on a galactic scale. Backed by the might of our military, we can lay claim to almost anything we want. Happy to hear that. Okay, climate restoration's an interesting one, because that's actually going to get me more systems in general, but I'm not convinced that that is the best thing for me to be working on right now, because I already have lots of other planets that I have not colonized yet. So it is both the cheapest, but it's also something that will get me more unity, and it will allow me to use those fancy crystals I just bought. So the synergy forum it is. So, it's actually really interesting to say. I mean, again, I've been talking about this pretty much since Megacorps came out, but it's really interesting to see how all of the decisions that I make inside this game, including technology decisions, are tied to the flow of goods through my empire. So in this particular case here, I'm thinking it's like, okay, so I have the crystals that I'm able to use for this, or no, I don't have the crystals and I'm not willing to do what it takes to get those. It's just a very interesting way of interacting with the game, because of course it used to be just maximize your mineral goods as much as possible and just throw as many ships at your problems. And if you try that now, you are going to quickly see the limits of that strategy. The asteroid 42532X is emitting some form of radiation in controlled bursts. Is something trying to communicate with us? Maybe. So the Blossoming Bion Armada is almost done its upgrades. I am, however, very curious why I don't have that final ship. Well, we can always force the issue, so new cruiser. And so that'll put the cap on the flourishing armada.
Upscaling complete.
This is always a pain. A scan of a particularly massive asteroid 42532X yields fascinating results. The rock's core is shot through by a network of conductive crystals carrying a weak electric charge. The crew on the RCA Juris recognize this matrix as primitive neural lattice and believe that the celestial body is thinking in some capacity, if not fully sapient. They seek permission to excavate the core and transport it to the nearest orbital station for closer study. So we can say, make do with what you can study from the surface. Now, how close is that to my... Not at all, so make it so. The core of 42532X, once coaxed from beneath the crust of the asteroid, does not respond well to the vacuum of space. The RCA Juris's instruments read a sudden energy spike moments before the rocky lump gently but decisively fractures. Large chunks of conductive mineral are salvaged, but whatever spectral charge animated them is now gone. The crystals are still valuable in their own right. 250 physics research gained, and 1,000 energy credits. That will be particularly helpful in letting me open a new branch. Okay, cruiser's on its way. It is always such a pain to figure this stuff out, so... I'm just going to do a quick... Let's pretend that that's 2 cruisers.
Future market survey complete. Research actualized.
Okay, so I still have a surplus of corvettes. Evolving artificial intellects are opening the door to the possibility for true synthetic sapience. And there will be no negative consequences at all. So I can get a bonus to my research station output, but I don't believe that has been at the top of my... Yeah, my stations are a very small part of my overall research generation. So if I want to get the advantage of cognate, tachyon sensors, or physics research in particular, because that will... that's a 20% bonus to already hundreds, so I'm almost getting about 100 extra research off of that. Problem is, it's 34 months worth. So the tachyon sensors are tempting because, of course, you know, extended range, but I think either the ion disruptor or the proton launchers. And for the difference, you know, if I was able to see the composition of the Glopki, I'm actually a little curious. Right, I don't have access to the Navy, the Federation Navy anymore. Speaking of, do they still count as... No, yeah, they definitely are inferior in fleet power. This is a tricky one. There once would have been a time... Oh, here we go. Okay, so they are primarily shield-based. And looks like they're pretty much all in on just pure laser vomit. Interesting. Okay, well... So the proton launchers, it's large, it's negative to shield damage, bonus to armor and hull damage. Alternatively, it is bonus to shield and armor penetration. I mean, this is basically designed to take out my neighbors, so. I could have known that a lot sooner if I remembered how this stuff works. Holy smokes, I'm actually in the positives for consumer goods? That ain't right. Okay, let's take advantage of the situation. I really should be using this as a chance to replenish my stock. So in this case, I'm only going to knock it down by 4. I only have one option here. So kinship, the true essence of kinship has developed between the citizens of our great star nation, regardless of their place in the social order. The time it takes for unemployed pops to demote to a lower stratum is reduced by 50%. Oh, cool. Sorry, I didn't even realize that. So the idea here is that they actually stay unemployed for a shorter period of time. I thought it actually lengthened the decay, but that's actually more desirable. Essentially, it means that, so like this is the problem. There's a very unfortunate tendency of the internet being horrible, for those of you who are not aware. And in response to some layoffs at sort of news sites, there was this hashtag learn to code running around Twitter. Now, the story that was being presented was that there had been some BuzzFeed article that was basically, you know, something like, can you teach coal miners to code or something like that? And it sort of is presented as like the definition of like ivory tower elitism. And just, you know, everything that is horrible about that kind of liberal finally getting their comeuppance. And then, of course, the challenge is that if you actually read the article, that was the base. So, like, most of it is just pure fabrication. But when you read the article, that was actually the source of all of that. It was a very sympathetic article to the plight of you know, essentially coal miners and other people who are being given the rather unhelpful advice sometimes. Can you learn to code? And it was actually it was an effort for one of these workers to train himself and I believe some of his friends to do that as well. But of course, it's the internet, so it doesn't really, you know, people kind of already have their strong priors, and there's not a lot that you can do to change their mind on these sorts of things. But obviously, what is kind of essentially the problem that's being brought up by that. I mean, again, like clearly, I would not like to use people being horrible on the internet as the best model for how to think about these problems. But obviously, if you are in, you know, if you're in a world where you used to be able to rely on, say, a horse and buggy being a thing, and you can no longer rely on that. Cool. You know, you're not just going to roll over and die. You are going to want to find something to do for yourself. You're going to want to provide for your family. You're going to want to, you know, do what you can to find a productive use of your time and to support yourself. And of course, you know, once upon a time, when the car is being introduced, it would probably not be the most helpful advice in the world to hear, we'll just go learn how to manufacture cars. So essentially, the Unity
potential market survey.
I didn't even think of the Harmony branch. Essentially, they're sort of they're lowering the search costs. So you don't need to move to another city, or you can find your new job a little bit faster.
Upscaling complete.
Incidentally, learning to code is worth it on its own. Not if you don't need to get a job for it, but it's a very rewarding experience. There's something, in my view at least, if you can make a computer sort of do what you want it to. If you have this experience of trying to make it... Oop. Okay. I also got to get ready for the war.
Future market survey complete.
If you can have that experience of sort of going from just using programs that other people have written for you to being able to... you don't have to be like a rock star at it, but just to be able to produce an outcome that you said at the start, I wanted it to do this, and then it did this, is something that's
Outlier
rather rewarding, and it's
identified.
something that can carry with you to a few other jobs. So, like, for instance, I do economics. It's not necessarily what you would assume. So most people who I talk to assume that I did computer science for my undergrad and then went into economics, and it was actually pure econ. But I did take a bunch of computer science courses as part of my electives, and I was also a TA in computer science. And largely, one, it's because I've always been interested in computers. But the other reason for it is that there is a definite benefit to being able to, as I said earlier, like make a computer do something that you want. So, a lot of economics, rightly or wrongly now, is applied work, and being able to work with data to be able to know what data structures will allow you to do things more efficiently definitely saves you from some more sort of faddish kind of ideas that people will try and push on you, and just makes you a better worker overall. Like I said, it's something that's intellectually rewarding, and it will it'll let you get further. So even if you're just the purest of pure fine arts, obviously if you know how to work with your tools, and pretty much all of us are using computers now, it just allows you to do more with less. By the way, I have not seen any chat activity for about 2 hours, and I'm totally fine with that. I'm just assuming that it's a little bit of a quieter night tonight. But I do want to take a minute and say, if you have been chatting and I've not realized it, that is because no chat has been coming through on my side. So apologies if you've been wanting me to respond to something and I haven't. But them's the breaks. Also, it says that I'm streaming Anthem, which is totally not true. Okay, our survey has uncovered something that can only be described by the science team as mystical. We would need to investigate this phenomenon in more detail to unshroud the mystery, so we'll research that. I'm not quite comfortable with opening a new branch, but we'll do that shortly. And there was another thing I was meaning to try and do. Yes, I want to mess around with my station composition a little bit. So right now my star bases have got hydroponics bays. I would like to replace those with naval logistics offices. It's not that 3 food is bad, especially with my inability to keep my population properly fed. Oh, that's going to be a really good one. Also the hangar bay. I'm particularly interested with where this one is. This one's pretty remote. What do my trade routes look like right now? Yes, I believe I know exactly what I want to do with you. We will give you extended range if I can. I thought there was a bonus for... Okay, so protection range of 1, and then I thought there was one that gives you a +1 protection range.
I must be going mad. I was convinced that there was a hangar bay that gave a bonus to protection range. So regrettably, we have a bit of piracy going on around here. Stebnar is probably the best candidate for knocking that down. They're not in a great choke point, though. Actually, they're not even remotely close to a choke point. So I can put... Oh, actually, no. The obvious candidate is to build on Orb. So building on Orb will allow me to put something that will defend these two areas. I'd also defend this, but this isn't as big of a deal. Oh wow! I've really let my trade routes fall apart. Okay, well, it's high time I started building some defensive structures, so let's upgrade you to a starport. And unfortunately, I would love to build... Wait a minute. You're telling me that Python does not have a sufficient defensive structure in place? With a hangar bay and a missile battery. Huh. I mean, it makes sense because the, the trade value is so high. Okay, so Orob's gonna take care of these two. There is an argument for putting a base on Yiram. It's not a great argument. But it does help me. I mean, essentially it means the only place that the invasion... Okay, well, I mean, if they decide to invade, they decide to invade, and I'm screwed either way. But it does also protect me from the gateway. And it's... The question is, do I build them? Do I build there now, or do I build up my capacity? You know, I should probably figure out what I'm doing here. So, okay, so I've got another 14 points to spend. I'm 6 over on my corvettes, which means I'm either gonna have to give up 3 destroyers. Well, I'll give up 1 cruiser. Yeah, 1 cruiser, 1 destroyer is pretty easy, so we'll say 4 cruise. Okay, so I'm going to build 2 more cruisers. Assuming I have the resources, I probably don't. Yeah. So I'll wait on that. I mean, this is all in prep for a war that'll be happening in 3 years, so it's not like I need to rush on the construction.
Future market survey complete. Research actualized.
Synergy Forum. The days when corporate synergy could only be achieved at sublight speeds are long gone. This is a bold new age of faster-than-light economics, and our corporate culture must adapt to overcome its outmoded relativistic constraints. And so I can get a Xeno Outreach Agency. Think centralized command, just in case things go wrong. I hate being too cautious like that, but it's probably not the worst decision I've ever made in this game. Okay, I really screwed up the colony, so I need to make sure that I don't do that elsewhere. You're kidding me. Alright, fair enough. I'm also going to build another corporate office when I can. But I'll wait to the end of the month to be... This is the challenge, of course. I decided to build a bunch of colonies, but I didn't give them the infrastructure. I went off and did other things. So, okay, good news. That should be a reduction. So, it's not just that we built buildings that will give us more
Upscaling
construction.
complete.
Holy smokes, I'm getting a lot of unemployment now. What's the deal with the amount? Oh, okay, it's robotic workers. I feel bad doing this. Okay, I'm still gonna go ahead and build another office. It's my option. You know, I think there's actually an expansion tool to help with this. But not for corporate offices. Okay, well, I can live with this. It's not going to be a huge deal. So 24. Oh, what was I thinking? This would have been much better. So I'm still going to go for the virtual entertainment studios here. This is just because I'm still importing consumer goods. I've kind of leveled out for now in terms of... whoa! I don't know what just happened. Oh, I know what happened. I got rid of my penalties. Okay, planetary administration is going to be good news there. This is
A system has been
Paradise.
surveyed.
So I'm going to, against my better judgment, put the effort towards research labs. Alright, we're receiving transmission from the Democratic Lyrabolus Alliance. They appear to have successfully translated our language. Diplomatic channels are now open, and all hostilities between us have ceased for the moment. Greetings from the Democratic Lilaro... Lilarobius Alliance. First speaker, Ash Maple. Hey, good name. Is our elected representative, but in truth, all citizens have a voice in our government. We strive to better ourselves through technology, a desire that we hope you will respect. So, Reed Oak speaks on behalf of the corporate people. Sounds like... Oh, and we're receiving a transmission from Urgalak Industries. They appear to have successfully translated our language. Diplomatic channels are now open and hostilities between us have ceased. Hey, another mega corporation. Greetings, I speak for Chief Executive Officer Baram Den Vathrig and the wealthy elite of the Urgalak Industries. We are always looking for new trading partners. Hopefully, we can come to some sort of accommodation to benefit the commerce of our nations. Cooperation will surely benefit us all. We've encountered some form of alien vessels in the equity system. These strange objects have been flagged as Ergolok Industries until we can learn more about them. Alright. I have no idea where they came from. Oh, they probably went through a wormhole. Wait, but I don't have a wormhole in my space. I didn't realize I wasn't researching those, so we should get those out of the way. Okay, let's make a deal. Something tells me... Okay, yeah. I can't open corporate offices in the stagnant ascendancy. Where are you, good folks? Oh boy. Yeah, they're in trouble. Now, suffice to say, I am quite surprised to see that. They somehow have got strong bases, but they are inferior strength. However, I'm feeling reasonably good about these things, so I think we just need to spend some time together before I'm going to be able to talk to them. This is a tough one. Okay, they're a vassal already, so... I have a feeling I know what's going to happen here. So the Ambresia wormhole is probably going to fall out. No, that doesn't make sense. I don't know. Somehow they found us. Okay, back to the task at hand. So this is okay. This is okay. Let me make sure everybody else... This is fine. I want to upgrade this when I can. This is okay. It's definitely okay. That's fine. That's fine. This is also a high priority for upgrades. That'll be fine. This one's already being worked on. Okay. I might want to buy some resources before too long. And with the big surplus, let's go back to the market and we can finally get some extra money. Okay, these upgraded disruptors fire bolts of more destructive iron particles at targets. So, unfortunately, that means that I'm going to have some more upgrade costs. The Omega alignment is very tempting because of the 16 physics, as well as the exciting end to the horizon signal. But I think the right call on this one would either be advanced combat, or no, actually that's definitely the right call. For computing. I was going to do experimental subspace navigation, but I want to take advantage of this really good scientist for some extra combat edges. Okay, who is closest to growing?
Incoming inquiry.
The Abba Star Dynasty would like a defensive pact. And while I would normally like to say yes, I don't see how I could possibly defend them if it came down to it.
A system has been surveyed.
Among the asteroids around W193427 is a A tree is drifting through the emptiness of space, an unprecedented and highly unlikely event. The tree is surrounded in a protective bubble reminiscent of an energy shield. Suddenly, we detect some hostile space dwellers on approach. This coincided with some sap leaking from the tree's shield while we collected samples. Could it have agitated the creatures? We needed to figure out what was going on.
Situation log revised.
Okay, let's see what's going on here. So I'm assuming, yeah, I need a science ship to be able to work on it, but we've got the angry creatures, so... Okay, they're running off. Realistically, I don't want to dedicate my military here, because it's such a long route, and I'm going to be taking on my nemesis.
Evading competitive fleet. Science ship facing unfair competition.
Okay, fortunately it got away. I'll put a corporate monument when I can, but I'm actually shyer on minerals than I want to be right now. I can build another...
Research actualized.
I can build another office, though. Creating dedicated headquarters for all levels of military operations shapes an efficient fleet and lays a better foundation for future military training. So I can boost my starbase capacity, which is actually very tempting at the moment. It's very expensive. Reductions in ship upgrade costs would also be really good. I'm less convinced about the commerce megaplexes, to be honest. So let's do the ship upgrade costs, just because I'm a little... I'll be honest, like I think I should have higher alloy production than I do right now. My priority should probably be the construction of the rest of the fleet, though. So, upgrades done, or will be done. I have one more cruiser to build. Ugh, that's a really long time to wait. But what I could do... oh, I don't have any more planets to colonize, unfortunately. So yeah, I actually have a little bit of a trade-off at the moment. Do I terraform planets or do I build new corporate offices? I'm inclined to build the offices, to be completely honest. Because it seems...
Upscaling complete.
Election time. It seems like my consumer goods sort of deficit is over. But in truth, well, so no, there's a couple things that will bring up the challenge. Either one, I find new source of gas, at which point I will upgrade another batch of research labs. What's more likely is planets like Yamal and Paradaya are going to be they're going to be in a spot where I can actually start building some more research facilities, which of course is going to bring its own costs in terms of consumer goods and so on and so forth. So I actually want to get out ahead of that if I can, because it's been a while since I've been in a pure surplus for everything. At some point I also want to start thinking about my alloy production. But what I'd like to do with that is move that off of Rhizome Capital and put that onto one of my industrial worlds, and focus a little bit more on specializing. Because the Rhizome Capital sector, if I can get a leader who is focused on producing the highest amount of research possible, that's going to be a powerhouse. Okay. I don't want to blow half of my influence on the election. So the real question here is, I mean, I have the money to be able to do this. It does increase my sprawl. So I can kind of see myself taking that 12. And of course, we've already got, I believe we already have a deal with these guys, so this is probably the smarter. Do not have a commercial pact with them. Ah. I just want to double check who I have the agreements with then. Oh, fair enough. Okay, so because it's only those two powers, I will do what any good capitalist will do and do a small cost-benefit analysis. So that's generating quite a bit of money, thank you very much. 3-5 does not bring me joy. $16 is better than 12, and it's closer, so it will cost less. Okay, apparently I don't I don't pay attention. 7. It's not the worst place I've ever opened an office, but yeah, okay, well, there's a pretty obvious candidate at this point. I'm surprised at how spread out this is without actually having any real, like, colonies. Anyways, wow, that's really expensive. I did not think that that would be as costly as it was, but I am still going for it. I might actually want to hold off on... So I've got a lot of planets that are looking for more infrastructure. So it might be an idea for me to wait. Also, these clans are still inferior, so... As are these guys, but their economic power apparently is equivalent.
Upscaling complete.
Also, I don't know how invasions work in this, so it's entirely possible I will find out that I'm not actually able to take over that planet. Yeah, I really did not plan that one properly. Crap. I might actually just buy my way to a giant robot army. Because I got the spare money for it. Okay, let's think a bit. First up... Okay, I can't build a research facility until we upgrade, so good news there. I've got time to spare for this, time to spare for that. This gets a corporate culture site. Okay, so we will spend 2,000 We'll prep you for entertainment studios. I do need to start considering how I can get some more alloys. Should probably be a little smarter about how this works. So let's just distribute the robot death army properly. So if my capital is strength 92, well, they'll still probably have built defensive structures though, so. And I'm actually not quite sure how these... I'm not actually quite sure how the strength works. Okay, so here's what we'll do. We will double up. I gotta think about this. So we've got 2 years, 80 days. So that would be what? Probably get about 4 or 5 in. We'll work with that. Oh, and I do have enough for one more cruiser now. So that at least gets me taken care of. So the plan here is I'm kind of building this fleet from the top. I've already got the flourishing Bion Armada is ready to go. So, you know, 6.2k strength. That should be able to mop the floor. Like, that fleet on its own should be able to mop the floor with their existing fleets and possibly have enough left over to be able to take out the outpost. Now, I don't actually want to rely on that, though. Esteemed Chief Executive Officer Oak, a decade ago, Rhizome Capital pledged to support the artisan troop, and so you have. The time of your patronage is coming to an end, but we would be remiss not to ask, would you care to renew your subscription to the finest arts and crafts in the galaxy? It continues to be a deal, but I'm feeling increasingly poor. So, actually, I'm going to start writing this stuff down. So, 860, so 311, 816 to 321, 8. I'll say 801 just for the sake of preparation. I'm actually going to start marking when these things expire to make sure that I have enough money in the bank. I suppose in the worst case scenario, I would be able to sell enough of my surpluses, but like taking a 20% hit on
Research
my stockpiles
actualized.
is
Upscaling
not
complete.
a smart move. Mining and processing the rare live. Oh, I completely forgot I did this. This is a really good time for it too. Processing the rare living metals are exceedingly difficult, but successful application of the mutable alloys yields incomparable advantages. So, I could not have asked a better time to finish that off. I completely forgot that I was doing that. Let's see if we can get a hull points in. That should be in time for the war to start. And in the meantime, let's grab one of my construction ships. Wait, what are you doing? Oh, right, that was the one that got chased away. Okay, so this gives my ship something to do now. We can build some mining stations for liquid metal. I think I have more than one in my borders, if memory serves. I do. That also gives me a really good invasion excuse if I happen to find any more liquid metal in the universe. So I kind of want to vassalize these guys no matter what. Ooh, that's going to be some tasty... Well, okay. Just because I vassalize them doesn't mean that I actually get to claim their resources. But they do not have liquid metal. Neither do my other rivals. Okay, well, I mean, that's good news for me just in another way. Okay, so building my fleet from the top down, we're going to be up to 50... Oh, hang on. Did I miss...
Research actualized.
Nope, I said I wanted four cruisers. Advanced combat roles. Further advances in predictive algorithms allow for augmented tactical decision-making in the field. Another good improvement, although whether I have the alloys for it is another question. Hyperdrive 3 is really good for logistics. These guys are close enough that it won't make the difference. Barrier point defense might, though. Okay. So we'll be at 58. Oh, that's right. I only wanted to be up to 9 destroyers, and I've got 6 already.
Upscaling complete. Upscaling complete.
I think I messed up somewhere. Doesn't matter, though. I will... I'll work with what I've got and build one more. So if it's going to be 54 once this cruiser's done, we just need one more destroyer, and that should be it.
Research actualized.
Next up, we will queue up the flourishing armada. Well, yeah, I might as well. Oh, standardizing workflows, upgrading and retrofitting ship components can lead to massive efficiency gains. Oh, damn it. I hate myself for doing this, but I am going to... I'm going to bump this up. That's just going to mess with my fleet compositions, but there's no point in... there's no point in keeping myself weak just because I want to try and make the numbers work. I am sitting on a lot of minerals now, which means I should probably start making some decisions in terms of where these upgrades are going. Up is down as the RCA Hemivalis passed through the asteroid belt on its way to QH-426. Science officer Ash Oak reported that the ship experienced a number of sudden gravitational shifts. Ever curious, Ash Oak dispatched a number of probes to scan the debris field to discern the cause. It turns out that the culprit is a number of gravity generators of old alien make. Sputtering on dying energy sources with their polarities inverted, they accidentally spew reverse gravity into the void, though not with enough force to cause any serious harm. Not anymore. Science officer Ash Oak theorizes that the generators once provided artificial gravity for a large asteroid in the belt, but some malfunction eventually tore the rock apart. Okay. Disturbing thought. 350 physics, 350 engineering. I think before I go too much farther, I'm going to need to start making some decisions about my industry. Hang on, why am I not... Yeah, okay, there we go. So again, similar idea here. Research labs are helping me overcome my massive Empire Sprawl costs. And focusing on Rhizome Capital is going to allow me to get sort of the bonuses from leaders. Obviously, when Rose Maple dies, that's going to be unfortunate. But with any luck, I'll be able to hire more leaders who are able to overcome that challenge. Now, what I would like to do, if I can, is start making it so that I get... I'm basically going to start building alloy foundries on this planet. And as I do that, I'm going to start switching out the alloy megaforges. I'm basically going to start shifting production from Rhizome Capital to something like the Python systems. Another thing that I need to actually start doing, because I've colonized a bunch of new planets, actually need to make sure that there's no tile blockers for me to worry about. Shockingly, there are none. So Python's kind of a good candidate for that kind of shift. Stebnar is not. Akram is also a potential candidate. And I don't have a good answer in terms of which one gets the alloy industry. Probably both before too long. I am slightly inclined towards Python, one, because it's already doing so much of the civilian industries. And if there winds up being some kind of, you know, some kind of governor trait that gives me a bonus to those kinds of buildings, you know, so much the better. I'm also going to need to start worrying about housing before too long. But anyways, we will unpause for a bit because there's not a lot for me to do at the moment. And what I do need to be doing right now is focusing on the war preparations.
Potential market survey completed.
So one thing I might want to consider overall, I think... Oh, cool. Recruitment of armies have been completed on Rhizome Capital. Eventually I'm going to combine all of these... eventually going to combine all these forces into one super army, obviously. The main reason for that, of course, is I can jump from Akram to Algrob and Hythus and just turn that into a... Basically, we'll within the opening year of the campaign, we should be able to take their home world. Now, mopping everything up is going to be a whole other matter. That's going to be absolutely miserable, but... Army morale, adaptable, butcher... Disengagement chance. Charismatic. I messed up, didn't I? So I just recruited a bunch of armies. No, but they're Result armies. I don't get it. Ah, here we go. Okay, they are definitely getting ready for defensive pacts. I wonder if I'm able to see any details on the planet. Oh yes, because I got my corporate office there. We are just a few months away from a war, actually, so... There's 364 strength. I'm not even remotely close to being ready for this. I mean, I can still bomb the hell out of them, but... what about the other planet? Okay, 91's a little more manageable. Yeah, I think I need to add a few more. Big thing is that I actually want to kick the war off as soon as I possibly can, and that's to prevent them from getting an alliance. So, specific date, damn it. It's exactly what I didn't want to have happen. So... I'm flying totally blind on these guys right now. The best call will be to put a... I think I need to put a defensive station either on Durelian or Unuk.
A system has been surveyed.
Well, they're definitely not making friends. It's going to be a little reckless to go into this war, but I'm feeling reasonably confident that I'll be able to get through it. The real dilemma is whether or not I'm going to be able to hold them off here. I think the way I'm going to get around that is I'm actually going to spend money. I'm going to spend money on alloys, and I'm just going to build as many defensive platforms as I can in Unuk. Now, whether or not I'm able to get enough war score to force the vassalization is another question. But I think I need to go back to my old habits of researching the fastest. And again, I need to remember exactly when the... So we're a year and 3 months away. Broke off their research agreement. Okay, well, we already know they're jerks. Our detailed survey of Kosk 3 has revealed that it may once have supported life in the distant past. There are significant deposits of frozen water at the polar ice caps and beneath the planet's surface. The existence of valley networks suggests that the water may once have flowed freely. Terraforming this planet would theoretically be possible, but we do not yet possess the technology to accomplish this monumental task within realistic time frame. And I think I'm actually dropping followers at this point now.
Research actualized.
I think with this research round, I know I've probably just gotten a little bit more sort of describing what I'm doing without actually talking about the overall strategy. So I think I'm going to pause the game here. I'm going to do a quick review over what the next few steps are going to be. Why am I recruiting an assault army rather than a robot army? Because I can't recruit a robot army. And that's probably always been true about Paradia. All right. Gradual adaptation to the realities of deep space combat allow us to effectively coordinate larger maneuvers. Moving on. Oh, command matrix for sure. The 5% bonus to the fire rate is too good to pass up. And then we got the improved destroyer hulls. Advances in building techniques will allow for the construction of sturdier and more durable destroyers. For that, I completely forgot to update my my robots. I think in this case I'm going to go for a plasma thruster. So taking a look at their fleets. They still seem to be very beam focused. So hopefully my design... I mean, I can custom... I can monkey around with my designs a little bit, but we're already looking pretty good. Okay, so
what is next week going to look like? So I've got about a year to prepare for this war. That year really should be spent flying towards the enemy, but we are doing our last batch of upgrades. In fact, what I'm going to do, let's say that we don't want to upgrade the Armada. We're going to put them back in queue just to make sure they get all of the upgrade. Well, yeah, I'm actually going to... Ah, damn it! Okay, so I have 20 points to play around with. Just gonna realign my fleets. Then I'll explain what I'm up to, but that was a really dumb thing that I just did. So, okay, so I think I want 2 cruisers. 4 destroyers and 4 corvettes. So we'll start by combining these folks. We'll give them the upgrade. Now as for the remainder, I don't actually have the alloys for it. Doesn't really matter though, because this is actually taking up the slot anyway. So getting rid of that destroyer might have actually been the right call. Yes, because this will finish upgrading just in time for the war to start. So that was unintentionally the right call. Now, let's say, you know what, I'll work out the fleet manager later. At 3.8k strength, the real reason these things exist is to engage the starport so that I can have a fresh fleet to deal with whatever comes through the hyperlanes. Right now, it looks like they've got about 5k strength, so I outnumber them here, and of course we've got a composition of weapons which is a little bit more impressive. Well, okay, admittedly I'm not crazy about the flak batteries, but you know, having a large plasma accelerator to punch him in the face is kind of nice, as well as all these beam weapons. We've got enough to cause a bunch of hurt, is essentially what I'm saying. So, it's going to be twofold in terms of how we handle this war. Eunuch is going to be... I'm upgrading it to a starport. What I probably want to do here is build as many defensive platforms as possible. Hey, Melemony, we're actually just wrapping up. I was curious if chat was working or not. It seems that I had a lot of lurkers tonight. But yeah, so the real dilemma that I have right now is the fact that these guys are in a defensive alliance. And now I think I can handle them, but the question is going to be whether or not I can inflict enough damage to take these guys out. Now the good news is, of course, that I'm right up against the border with them, so I'm going to be able to sort of bully my way through most of their worlds. In fact, I'm pretty sure the way that I'm going to handle this will be... I'm going to take all of the fleets from Okram. We're going to take Algarab, and that's going to be the Blossoming Bayan Armada is going to be the first wave of that. Then we're going to move in on... on whatever fleets come to defend. We're going to turn right to Hythus. Now, we should, in time...
So we're looking at about 80 per fleet, a little under that. So this should be enough for a full invasion force of Hythus. But again, I don't want to have my war wariness go up too high. So if we can bomb the hell out of them, so much the better. But I think the plan here is going to be doing a bit of research and prep of the console release. That's really cool, Bumpy Buckethead. I'm not a console gamer myself, but I'm actually... So I've never really thought of strategy on consoles. I think there was an effort to make, like, StarCraft work on it once, and apparently it was very forgettable. But everything I have heard about Stellaris for console is that it's really good. So I'm actually really excited to see what they're doing. I wouldn't be able to play it because the only console I have is a Wii, and I'm pretty sure a Wii can't run this. But I've never actually run into somebody who, like, I'm personally interested in it because I want to see how they do it. But I haven't actually run into anybody who's looking ready for it, so... although I do know they've had controller support in it for a while. I'm playing Iron Man, so I'm not actually able to enable my controller, but you can get some really cool looking shots. It's how they do all their trailers. But yeah, so the plan here is to have a fresh fleet, which is just overwhelming to take out Hythus. Now what I'm probably going to do is I might go straight to take Star Mag, and then because I've got this nice little basically I've got this nice little buffer in the form of my sensors, I might actually keep the 3K fleet right here to see what these guys are up to, because they're going to take a while to show up. Now again, well, okay, they count as pathetic, so I think these guys are inferior. Okay, so yeah, I actually don't have that much to fear from this navy, as it turns out. I'm still going to build the defense at Eunuch, but, you know, that actually makes me feel a little bit better. But yeah, so I think the plan is to try and just lock down this part of the galaxy if I can. Now, Gillis is going to be a bit of a drag, and that's just because I can't see its strength. But I have a feeling that this will be a sort of a meaningful fight. The real question comes down... The real question is what do I do after I take the capital? Because again, you always have this ticking war score going by. So, you know, do I take Gillis and then immediately, you know, slouch onto Xeris so that I can finally go and take Bexel? Well, that seems like something that's going to hurt my ability to regenerate. So maybe does it make more sense that I go, you know, Gillis and then, you know, head up to Markab? Well, you know, it's not really all that different. I think probably what I would do, this is phase 1. This would be phase 2. Obviously, we're not going to take all the intermediate territories, unless it's like an easy chance. The other argument would be to try... I definitely want to take the capital, but the other argument might be to go from the capital, basically chop this stuff off, so then I can focus on... So I can focus on sort of defending the east, because if Eunuch holds, then essentially we're just going to be fighting over this territory here. The problem with that analysis is there's really only one meaningful entry point, which is here. And there's no other way to get to Star Mag. So, it'll be complicated. This is not a great layout for... This is not a great layout for this fight. And the funny thing about this whole war is starting because these guys got really mad that I wasn't going to invade these guys. So now they're teaming up against me. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that made any sense, but I am going to be wrapping up for tonight. I do appreciate you guys hanging out. Before I go, though, are there any questions about Stellaris or thoughts in general? I definitely think I'm not playing Megacorps well, and this is just because my Empire sprawl is such that I'm, you know, incurring a 63% technology cost, a 200% leader upkeep, 100% tradition adoption cost. Like, I really should be at the bottom of everything. But, having realized my problem, essentially what I did was I started focusing really carefully on the types of activities that I was doing. So in this case here, I'm just trying to generate overwhelming amounts of physics research and whatnot. And we're back to surpluses. Who just followed? Hey, Bumpy Buckethead, thank you very much for the... Sorry, Bumpy Buckethead, thank you very much for the follow. I do appreciate that. If you are curious about Stellaris, we do this every Monday. I try to do more streams, but honestly, I've got Crusader Kings 2, which I've not done as much as I wanted, so realistically, I'm probably going to be doing some other games other than that. But as long as you're interested and you want to see this on Mondays, I will be kicking around. As Melemony said, this is my Monday treat for the strategy crowd. So actually, now would not be a bad time to see, has that paid off? So we've got the Baranthi Star Realm. These are allies. We are running ahead of them as far as technology levels. We're also in a defensive pact with them, so that's good news. Everybody else, yeah, we are almost a hyperpower. Very interesting, by the way, that we're already giving the fallen empires a run for their money as far as economic power is concerned. That's great to hear. Yeah, so I'm not 100% sure if this is the way it's supposed to go, but in this case, we've been able to overcome the problems with the Empire Sprawl through more efficient management of our resources. So next week, we're going to be focusing on trying to subjugate the United Hythian League to turn them into a subsidiary. Obviously, it'd be nice to do it with the United Scythian League, but to be honest, if I can make these guys a vassal, that will actually give me a much better platform to launch an invasion. Because, like, if I actually try to invade these guys, half the time is going to be spent actually getting to their planets. And clearly you can organize a much more effective defense in that particular case. And they have a lot of worlds to take. Like, to get to their capital is no small task. So even though they're an inferior fleet power, it's still going to be a slog to actually make it into their territory. So I think if I'm able to turn these guys into vassals, being able to sort of, get a small fleet and just sort of slowly work my way up while also having people attacking from the right, that's going to put the screws to them. They'll be fighting a war on two fronts. And again, that's going to be after, if I sign a peace, I'm likely going to have a 10-year treaty with them. What else? As far as more intermediate goals, we're doing really well for research on the capital. So unless I wind up getting some more of the exotic gases, what the plan is going to be now is to change my alloy megaforges to eventually put them on Python and replace those with research facilities. I'm also probably going to have to do something about housing before too long, because we have like 20 jobs open, but only one spot left. Should deal with that pretty quickly, actually. So yeah, we're gonna basically add at least 3 more research facilities. The reason for this, again, is that we've got Rose Maple as a governor, which is giving us 10% bonus to the jobs. We've got a research institute, which is giving us 15% bonus to research output. And we've got a science ship giving an additional 10% to the output. So so to give you an idea of the influence that this one planet has on my output, my physics research is 561, 451 of which is generated by jobs. 370 of that research is generated on this planet alone. And then the plan here is going to be, for Yamal Prime, similar idea. More focused on research labs at the moment because I don't have enough exotic gases to upgrade them. But again, if I can make this planet dedicated to research, if I can give a percentage boost to its... actually, I'm going to need to do another... I'm going to have to come up with some more jobs for these guys. Again, similar story with Gaul. The more research centers I can do, again, that 10% bonus is going to be spread amongst these 10 worlds. If I can get research centers, if I can get more and more bonuses realized in these areas, it's going to translate into an even greater research powerhouse. And one of the ways that I can sort of facilitate that is alloy foundries, civilian manufacturing. Basically, the more of that I can offshore onto planets dedicated towards that work. Again, focusing on specialization, so much the better. I'm already sort of starting to do that with things like food processing facilities and farms. That's how we got past our food deficit. And then one of the ways that I got the consumer goods taken care of was the fact that we're producing so much in our corporate offices. And I talked about that a little bit earlier in the stream, so maybe I'll save that for next week. But obviously that's a big job. That's also going to involve a lot of mineral resources, which I'm beginning to fall behind on again. So we'll probably spend some time building up that infrastructure as well. But all of that is something that we will deal with in the near future, next week. Just a quick reminder, I will not be streaming on Monday. As much as I love Cultist Simulator, it is the third week of the month, which means on Wednesdays, there's a local game dev collective called Dirty Rectangles, which I like to attend and sort of just hang out, show, see what people are up to. Every once in a while I do get a chance to show people those sort of the results of those meetups. I'm also going to try presenting something if I can. If you like the vodcasts, there is a new Elder Scrolls episode. It is only 2.5 hours long, so that'll start at 7 o'clock local time sharp. So if you arrive, basically some of them go very long. Some people come like around 11 o'clock. If you're coming at 11 o'clock, the thing will be over, but it's obviously available on YouTube. And then Friday is now a free day, so I'll figure out what I'm doing. It might be Mass Effect, probably not Anthem again. I really like Anthem, but I'm not sure I stream it very well. But we can deal with all of that at the time. So quick recap, Wednesday there is no stream. I'll maybe try and do a vodcast or something, but it's unlikely I'm going to have the time to record one. But we will be back for Friday for sure. And for those of you only here for the strategy games, Monday for sure. Let's see if there's somebody I can host. W. Shand is playing Monster Prom, which I kind of want to see. So W. Shand is... check out an old board game called Solar Quest if you're into them. Also, you love the narrative. Okay, I will absolutely take a look at that. Thank you for the recommendation. It's actually funny that you mentioned that because the presentation I'm hoping to give on Wednesday is actually on board games. I don't get to play a lot of them, but I did a big scrape of Board Game Geek, and it's I thought it was a nice little way of introducing data analysis to an audience that maybe doesn't necessarily think of that for some of their work. So, this is a really neat idea for a game. I know GMT just came out with Space Corp, but it sort of seems... That's cool. I'm going to check this out. Anyways, guys, sorry. I'm going to host W. Shand. He's playing Monster Prom. I kind of want to see what's going on. W. Shand is definitely a character. I know some of you don't like the style of voice that he's using now, but he is I think he's a fun guy. Somebody I've been able to hang out with at a couple of Twitch meetups when I lived in Vancouver. He's a guy who does this for a living, so he's certainly more talented than I am. Like I said, I want to see Monster Prom, because I think that might actually be a Canadian game. But if you want, you can give the raid message, "We're tired of System Talk, heard this place was better." If not, that's fine. Obviously, if you show the goodwill, hopefully you'll see it back. But have a great night, everybody. Thank you very much for hanging out, especially for the lurkers. I need to get back in the habit of talking when I don't have a chat to respond to, but it was a very pleasant evening, and I really appreciate the support every single one of you gave me. So have a great night, and we'll see you next time.